Uh, hey, chat. Hello. How's it going? I missed you guys. How's everyone doing? Did you have a good time while I was away? I hope you didn't. I hope you missed me. Bad Luna. Thanks for the 199. My boy Loner Box, my boy, and he is my boy Loner Box. True. Zoni, thanks for the tier 2 sub and for the message. Return of the box, return of the bucks. That's a good slogan. I appreciate that. Hell yeah. How is everyone doing? Content drought made me touch grass more often. You know, that's a really upsetting thought, okay? It's really upsetting to think that maybe if like your favorite streamer isn't there, then you're just gonna actually do things with your life. Stop. Don't say that. That's a bad way to look at it, okay? None of you guys have better things to do with your life, okay? Let's not kid ourselves, okay? You have to be informed. Did you have fun at the debating con? Yeah. Could have gone better in many ways, but given the kind of week that I had leading up to it, it's actually quite good. Yeah, I'm okay with it. My goal was basically to go there and not die, so we did that. We achieved that much. I'm actually also, if I'd man, if I wasn't so busy on that week before, I feel like I used to be kind of averse to this whole idea of like debating like is someone this ideology just because it's so easy for like a bad faith actor to just like play dumb about every single word that you bring up, like even if they agree with it. Uh, but I think my definition and my understanding of fascism and why some ideologies fit and why some actors don't. I think if I give it like a bit more tweaking and just like take a few more of the ideas and just make them into a bit more like soundbitey, it'd probably have like a pretty unassailable criteria there. I think it's actually I wouldn't be against doing a debate like that again. Maybe change my approach, be a bit more aggro, but otherwise not good. Did you feel bamboozled flying across the world to debate Rob instead of Andrew? Not really. Um, Rob is like actually quite a nice person. Like yeah, he's like quite friendly, and Andrew. I didn't really speak to Andrew that much. I just said hello, but Andrew seems a little bit. I don't know what his story is. Is it published? It'll probably be on the Modern Day Debate channel quite soon. I think they are. Currently it's paywalled, but they're kind of slowly uploading each video. I didn't even check if I got permission to upload it to my channel, but in any case, you can get it there either now or probably within the week, I'd imagine. I didn't have any issue with debating Rob instead of Andrew. It meant my approach had to change like very suddenly because I had to quickly brush up on all of the latest Trump claims of the week. Like I was I was so lucky that I looked at that recent, that State of the Union address that Trump did. No, not State of the Union, like he did an address, where they sit in front of the camera and they're like, my fellow Americans, like that whole thing. We're about to bomb Saddam Hussein. And it was all about voter fraud. And he made all these claims about China and some fucking canvassing operation in Michigan and something about more dead voters or some shit. But I looked into all those claims before the debate, like just a very quick fact check with the like what Trump was referring to. And when Rob brought it up, I was like, okay, yes, I know exactly what you're referring to here, and this is just not what you're claiming it is. But the thing I don't really know how to deal with, is I need to get used to, is there was this moment very early in the debate when that came up. It was something to do with like Trump in 2020 claims that there are going to be ballots cast by other countries, not from other countries, like how the country voting, but by other countries. And then Rob says something like, oh, well, there's actually merit in that because they've now just unearthed this thing about Chinese interference. And then I knew exactly what he was referring to. And what he's referring to is that there was a recent intel report that found that someone in China had applied for access to 6 states' voter rolls, but that were already public. They were publicly accessible. And we don't know why. There's one actor in China asked for information about voter rolls that's already public, but there's no attached motive. But then I bring that counter up, and then Rob's response was something along the lines of, "Well, there'll be more information in the future. Like, don't worry." Like, which basically just reads like, "Don't worry, bub. Dear leader, Daddy-O will give us more to work with later." It's so fucking, and I think from that point onwards, I just completely fucking deflated. I was like, because it didn't. Obviously, the crowd didn't really seem to bat an eye, but he didn't either. There was no shame in saying something like that. Like, don't worry, Trump will just give me more later to talk. Like, what the? I don't know. And I probably needed to remember what I was up against with that kind of shit. Oh God. But otherwise, a few good things came out of it. I was very, very nervous for the opening statement, like standing with that podium, especially since I kind of knew that it would be mostly right wingers, but I didn't know it would be like 80 to 85% right wingers. That was, and very right wing. I mean, like there was a show of hands on people's opinions on revoking the 19th Amendment, and the amount of fucking hands I saw, holy shit. It was like, I was looking at that crowd and like how many people were like, yeah, I don't think women should vote. And I'm just thinking like I could probably go up and down my entire country and not find that many people who believe that as there were in that one room. Yeah. But they, you know what, they were all, so yeah, I was kind of nervous for that. But then as soon as I was sitting down, if anything, like the problem was the opposite. Like I wasn't really like adrenaline enough for it. I just got kind of, there's a few points in the debate that just got me kind of deflated with with kind of like what Rob was getting away with. And also just that I guess I wasn't really in the mindset of, oh yeah, you're also talking to the audience. You're not just talking for yourself. Like, cause I can watch someone go on a tangent or go off topic about Democrats or tweets or whatever else. Like, I can watch them do that and not really feel like anything bad is happening, because to me that's just okay. Well, they're clearly just not confident enough in the actual topic, or they don't have enough to say on the actual topic, so they're moving on to other shit. But obviously, it just kind of looks like you're it just looks like you're getting blown out and not really responding to it. So, did you meet anyone for the first time that was cool? Like creators? I mean, Rob was fine. He was a very pleasant dude. It does make me wonder how much all of it is real, but that's a slightly separate story. Like, I don't understand how someone can be up there.
I only raised my hand because I wanted to stop Crystal Ball from voting. Sorry.
Hey, thanks for $10. I don't really know how someone can have one of their, what do you mean real? As in, like, one of Rob's central points in that debate was to get a tweet from mine. It was like one tweet from, he pulled out a few actually. He pulled out tweets from like 2019, 2024, and like tried to synthesize some kind of story about that shit. Yeah, but he had one that was like suggesting that I basically wanted to get like Trump assassinated, and that I was calling people fascists just so I can like put a target on their back. That was kind of like the gist he was giving. And he's making this case to a whole room of MAGA people who I probably would consider fascist, even if they don't really like the word. They believe in everything that a fascist would say to convince them to vote for them. But he's making this claim that I'm like sneakily and weaselly trying to get a target put on these people's back. And in this security environment, when Charlie Kirk's been killed and Trump's been shot at, and there's like, we have to get a fucking security briefing before the debate even starts. And then after the debate, he's just like, oh yeah, nothing personal, dude. It was all good fun. And like, yeah, it was a silly debate topic anyway. I'm just like, wait, you've just kind of accused me of like trying to get these people killed or your president killed. And it's just like, but I feel like if you genuinely believe that, you'd maybe not be so, I don't know, but maybe that's just the American way, you know, maybe like, yeah, this person wants me dead, but Southern hospitality, I don't know, fucking weird, bro. I'm just saying, right? No ill will. I just, I don't know how to gel with that. Like, I don't, if, if you think someone's trying to get you killed and you're very sincere in that belief, then it's probably okay to, I'd probably expect you to be a bit more cagey around them. But no, the crowd was like really friendly afterwards. They were all like they were all just like, "Oh yeah, you know, thanks so much for coming and thanks for participating, and we're really grateful that you're talking to people afterwards because you know, like all the other debaters, like all the lib debaters tend to just turn up and leave." And there's actually a few conservatives who were actually like taking my side on. Like, they were just like, "Oh yeah, you know, I wish we could have like gone more on the topic a bit more. You know, I'm a conservative, but I'm not like these conservatives," kind of thing. Like that was quite surprising, and especially and like hearing a couple of people like conservatives in America saying things like, "Oh yeah, you know, I didn't actually know this about fascism. I always thought that." Like, yeah, that was quite nice. Like, it was like nice to know that like that it did something. Because as far as debate performances, I would probably put that like on my bottom 10, but you know, just need to get over that culture shock, you know, like speaking to an audience like that. It's very different, but would repeat for sure. The security protocol, that was fucking mad, man. That was like, we're getting up and we're getting ready to start doing our opening statements, and then this guy just like runs down the middle and comes up to us and he's like, "All right, listen, okay, anything goes down, these security guys in the back, okay, they're gonna take you out that door, and don't worry, if you've got loved ones, you got friends in the crowd, okay, don't worry, there's other people there to take care of them as well. Just, you know, uh, just be on your toes, watch what they do, watch what the security, like the two cops in the background do." I was like, holy fuck, man. This environment, the United States, holy shit. But no pressure, eh? But they're used to that now. Like in America, that's just the normal ways of the world. It's that, whether that debates and someone said it was actually, it's debates and Jewish centers. It's like you've got these big fucking security bros coming up to you, telling you what's what. Damn, though. Happy to be back. I will say that. I just don't know how long I could spend in a room with that many people who wanted to take women's voting rights away. That's just so crazy to me. There was the Andrew Wilson and Dinesh D'Souza debate, which is that stupid topic of like, should Christians be morally obligated to support Israel? He's done that topic before, and Andrew Wilson, in his opening statement, is up taking the position of why they shouldn't. And one of the positions that he outlined to convince the audience that America shouldn't support Israel was for him to start talking about Israel's approach to gay rights. He's like, yeah, this is a country that will recognize gay marriages from any other country. This is a country where X percentage of people support transgender rights. This is a country where people who can get free healthcare can get free gender affirmation surgery. This is a country where you have women in the military. And he's just saying all these things about Israelis. And the audience is just like, ooh, oh, ooh, oh, I didn't know that. Ooh, oh, shit, oh. Like, it's just the funniest fucking, he's like, these are libtards. I'm just, fucking hell, bro. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, I thought they were kind of base because they kill Muslims. Oh, fucking, yeah, I don't know. That was probably one of the highlights. Listening to that shit. Absolutely insane. But otherwise, decent people. I don't know. It's so strange. Holy shit. You're making me hate America. Yeah, listen, you don't understand, okay? You don't understand how fucking mad it is compared to anyone anywhere in fucking Europe, okay? Like we've got our problems. We've got like Orban, who's a what is it? But Orban lost the election and he walked, didn't he? Orban didn't try to overturn the election that he lost, did he? He didn't do a Bolsonaro or a Trump. We have our problems, but my God, man, when you go to the United States, like, I love America, okay? I think it's charming, okay? I like all the, you know, I like your Southern hospitality and your coastal elite snark, and I like the everything being big, and I like, oh yeah, you can make you can make loads of money, more money than your same job in any other country in the world, and you can be whoever you want to be. Yeah, Second Amendment. I love all that shit, okay? It's fun. Lovely people. But also, that country is a fucking retard factory, okay? And for all they've got going for them, okay, you can be the most powerful economy and military in the world, and everyone wants a piece of you. It's a retard factory, okay? There's no getting around it. You all know this if you've if you lived there, if you've been there. The best at everything, especially being stupid. Yeah, that's it. It's a full package, okay? It's a full package. The guy who's in charge of your public health does ice plunges in jeans. Oh, your fucking Secretary of Defense is checking people's testosterone levels and saying they should shave their beards. Oh fuck, man. Whoa. But otherwise, nice people, lovely people, the best people. I tried to make that point in the debate as well. Like the people who brought fascists into power, not only were they for the most part, normal people, most of them were probably decent people. Like it's just the complexity of the human condition, the tragedy of it almost. Was there ever a stated reason why he was doing them in jeans? Well, it's aesthetics, right? He thinks he looks good in jeans, even if it means going into an ice play. I mean, that's one of them, but I also do wonder sometimes if these gestures are just like a reminder to normal people, like, yes, this is what we get away with. This is what we get away with. Like, fuck you. There's nothing you can do about it. It's almost like they're just trying to demoralize reasonable people. Who knows? I know you criticize leftists often, but does it feel like other libs are finally starting to wake up? Not really. Not enough anyway, given it's not really proportionate to how mad the DSA is and what they're up against is, but it's something. Like, I know there are people who just think, well, yeah, Trump is the problem. We just need to talk about Trump all the time. But there is a cap to that. And do you know why there's a limit to that? There's like a problem with doing that. It's fucking Trump, right? How many conservatives or how many Republicans at one point were thinking, yeah, this Trump guy, he's kind of fucking kooky. He's a bit crazy. It's kind of scary, actually, some of the stuff he's saying and some of the stuff that his supporters seem to be expecting from him. But, I'm sick to death of these fucking Democrats and these communists and all that. Oh, yeah, what happened to them? Oh, yeah, they got completely co-opted and they got completely fucking consumed by the cancer that is MAGA. Yeah, that's what happened to them, by the way. So you're not pulling that one on me. Canada and Mexico are cool too, our friends. Yeah, it's quite sad that like America has the nicest neighbors any country could ever ask for. Canada. Fucking Canada. but they still kind of act like they still behave like they're just going through their own Treaty of Versailles, and they need to throw their weight around aggressively to the rest of the world, especially the liberal world, so that they can reestablish their position on the global stage, and so that they can rebuild the world in their own image. It's fucking, I don't know, mad. What can you do? Did you watch the Pierce interview of I Won't Work for Jews guy? No. I look at Pierce's channel every now and then. I just see the thumbnail and I see the names and the topic. I'm just like, no. Not even opening it. Hell no. Mexico is its own mess, to be honest. But as far as I know, the Mexican president still like tries quite hard to play ball with America, no? And as far as Americans go, I thought that Trump had secured the border. I thought that was all done. That was over. There's no one, no cartel, no issues. Just the people who are already in the country. Just the 20 million people we need to deport. Or is it 80 million? I don't know. Have you seen Professor Dave and Destiny drama? Yeah, I'm aware of some of that. Little bits. I don't know if I don't know if I want to go into that video because it's funny because it seems like it's like the Noah Samson video but worse. It seems like the claims that he was making were even more crazy than Noah Samson's. Even though that's funny because he's supposed to be like a science educator or whatever. This Blavuk cat too, I think was at DebateCon, although I don't know if I met them or not. I can't remember. But yeah, this guy's on one. This guy's on a journey. Hey, remember last week when police found an illegal tunnel network under a synagogue that was used to fuck little kids? Is that part of being Jewish in New York, you fuckbag? Yeah, kind of like how Jews believe they're allowed to steal land from Muslims because their God said it was okay. Holy fuck, you're dumber than rocks. Except I'm not, since it's genocide. The poor Jews, leave them alone to commit their genocide. Go fuck yourself. Now, do one for the Jews who celebrate the slaughter of innocent Palestinians and call them animals who should be exterminated. Go fuck yourself. Yes, an illegal network of tunnels for sex trafficking is sinister. I agree. Because there aren't, sorry. There are no raped bodies. Sorry, the quote marks. There are no raped bodies. Someone told you that and you believed them because you're fucking stupid. Sorry, cunt. There are no... Oh, he's an American saying cunt. That's bad. That's when you know he's serious. There are no witness accounts, just stories and lies. Okay. There's more. It's not a conspiracy theory, sweetie. Why did it take the IDF 6 hours to show up at that music festival? Go ahead. Make me laugh. And stop whining about Hamas. I already explained how they're incapable of doing anything Israel doesn't let them to do. How many at the festival? If you say 250, be prepared to give some evidence. Then read the Haaretz report. Of the 900, not 1,400, about half were IDF, and most of the rest were killed by IDF, not Hamas. There is no Haaretz report on the planet that said that, but okay. Israel killed its own citizens on purpose. Is that justified? Is that justified? Wow. We're straight to the... Yes, one bogus NYT piece using exclusively anecdotes. Anything else? Something forensic or empirical, perhaps? No, because there was no rape on October 7th, nor of any hostages, while IDF rapes Palestinian women all the time. Are there any forensics of this, by the way? Any forensics? Not a single one? Oh, that's crazy. Because Israel is lying literally all the time. The NYT piece is desperate propaganda because they've been pushing this angle for weeks, and people are pointing out that they're lying. It's all anecdotal, nothing forensic, and female Israeli hostages are all treated very well. Ooh. Ooh. Hamas doesn't have anywhere to hide. They're not a military. They're just people in Gaza. And Israel, please don't be on your fucking weekly shutdown. Hmm. Oh yeah, that's great. Yeah. They're not a military. Said the modern Holocaust denier denying a literal Holocaust. It's even, man, even the fuck, this guy's he's not a stupid person, right? Like, it just, even the syntax just, it goes off the fucking wall when when you get this fucking angry and hateful. Yes, they did not burn houses. It was IDF tanks. They filmed themselves burning houses. They filmed themselves. They kidnapped one baby. Israel has murdered thousands of babies. You're a hypocritical, worthless sack of shit. 2 million Gazans are starving to death. Fuck your Shabbat, cunt. Okay, based. This guy. Cunt. Yes. Listen, that's not fair though, right? He could be talking about anyone. I feel like I need an Alex Jones voice for this. No! It's about genocide, you worthless cunt! Where we are victims while we commit genocide. Where? I love it.
And it begins.
Ah! Oh my god. It's a lot of cunts. This guy sees them everywhere. I feel like the topic of genocide happening in Gaza would make people emotional. I totally understand where he's coming from, even though it's not fully thought out. Okay. I don't know why people dying in Gaza means that you feel like you need to deny atrocities that happened in Israel. I don't know. I don't know why these two gel with each other. I don't know why you feel like that's an emotional drive that causes that. This is not. Again, people think they can excuse this shit because they see people dying and they want it to stop. That's just not true, though. That's true for some people who act in a very different way. But what that guy is doing is just the most perfect illustration of why bigotry rots your fucking skull. Like that's what he's doing. That is a guy consumed by hatred. That's what that is. You don't get to be unhinged about any other conflict or like atrocity like that. You're not allowed to do that. Anyway. He's responded to over 700 comments on his Destiny video. Yeah, because like I've seen even his videos where he's doing the science thing, like he's very how would you put it? He is just very like alpha, isn't he? Like not in a complimentary way. He's like every video is just every video where he goes after someone is always the same. Like this guy is an absolute fucking fraud, this pathetic piece of shit, and I'm going to humiliate him and destroy his channel. It's so much fun watching you squirm around the death of your career that I'm going to collapse with this one video. Like he's very much like just like that all the fucking time. Yeah. Hmm. Okay. The alpha persona doesn't really work when he's terrified to debate Destiny on IP. Hermit guy, tell me, give you a really interesting lesson about alphas. People like that pick fights that they know they'll win, and that's it. Like, it's almost part and parcel of being an alpha that you're also kind of a selective coward. Like, that's usually how that works. Yeah. Okay. Can we get a quick connections to ease us in? No. But then why make the Destiny video? Because what blowback is he going to get for just doing a YouTube video? Maybe he didn't expect the amount of pushback that he got, or I don't know. The guy's not exactly like small fry. He's got like 4 million subscribers. He's clearly got no shortage of self-assuredness or confidence, but I guess if you don't apply the skill set, then you're kind of cooked. He's pissed that he got banned from Twitter. Nice. He's getting mad donos for the video. Yeah, well, we could use our own of those, couldn't we? There's a dono goal. Let's go! Get fucked. Okay, hang on.
Professor Dave versus Professor Jang debate would be amazing.
Thanks for the $10. I agree. I agree muchly. Whoo! We have an interesting story here. If people were concerned about IP, they must be talking about the yellow line and blocks, because that needs to be talked about, or Gazans will be living on a piece of land less than 25%. These people, they don't give a fuck about policy. Sorry. Like, again, whatever that Churchill quote is about, never has so much in history been owed by so many to so few. The popular Free Palestine movement is just like that, but all the words are reversed. Everything's the opposite. So it's just... it cooked. They're not trying to achieve anything. You can tell because they don't achieve anything. Like, they're trying to... that's not the purpose. That's not what Palestine was put on this earth to do for them. Like, it was put on this earth to allow them to get over some fucking boredom and some moral ambiguity in their lives, and also to be exotic as a student. That's all that's all it serves. Make some friends. Pangburn did a 2-part fact check of Dave's video. Damn! It's the kind of thing I used to do. Shit. I do more of those. That was so quick, though. I could never. Just a quick tangent. Sorry. Quick tangent. Do not ever in your entire life in this old world let a populist right-winger make you feel bad because you did or said something that might potentially be seen as an incitement to violence or whatever. Because even if you've fucked up, you will always find them doing more and 10 times as much, or their leaders doing more and the supporters not giving a shit, okay? Never let people do this to you. Zach Polanski, known Green Party leader dipshit, who I don't really care for, he tweets and retweets on his social media accounts a lot. He reposts all kinds of fucking shit. And it's very obvious he's doing half of it without even looking exactly what he's posting. So he retweets this guy who is wearing, I think, is that a tweet or it's an Instagram, but he retweets it. Okay. He reposts this guy who has a t-shirt with a guillotine on it saying, "We're only making plans for Nigel," Nigel Farage, guilty the song, right? A really stupid thing to be tweeting out. But now Nigel Farage is calling for and his supporters want there to be a police investigation against him. And they believe that they're getting a target put on their back by this tweet. And Farage said that he would expect to be arrested if he posted a similar photo, adding, and so should Polanski. I'm sorry, Nigel Farage, known guy who never flirts with violent rhetoric. Wasn't this the same Farage who said that he would pick up a rifle if Brexit is not delivered? Oh yeah, he did say that, didn't he? He did say that. The same guy who spread disinformation around the Southport stabbings, disinformation that was inevitably used by protesters who were rioting and attacking asylum centers because he tried to associate the person with asylum seeking in small boats, even though there was absolutely no evidence for it. Yep, Nigel did that. He was part of that. The Nigel riots, the Farage riots. Oh, but this is out of context. I mean, the sheer, like, the hypocrisy of it is so... And the problem is that it works as well. Because people have become so used to this kind of rhetoric from far-right people, or for populist right people, they're so used to it that when they see someone on their side do it, like say if a Labour politician did it, it would still be shocking because it's out of the ordinary all of a sudden. It's ordinary when Farage does it. What was it he said about the civil service? This ridiculous quote.
When the president of the Port of Calais and the boss of the Port of Dover tell you they're 100% ready for Brexit in whatever form it comes, I suggest we listen to them and not the overpaid pen pushers in Whitehall who are not doing a neutral job. And once Brexit's done...
Oh yes, it's the civil servants, you know, the faceless bureaucrats that we're always going to appeal to our disgust with because no one knows who the fuck they are and everyone just constantly assumes that they're bad and appealing to the emotions of an electorate that will just swallow anything that sounds anti-establishment and anti-corruption, unless it's a person who literally dresses like a British Saul Goodman half the time and is actually involved in very strange practices like advertising to sell fucking gold bullion for a rate of £22,000 an hour on average. Anyway.
And once Brexit's done, we'll take the knife to them, all right? Had enough of all of it.
What was that?
Who are not doing a neutral job, and once Brexit's done, we'll take the knife to them, all right? Had enough of all of it. Had enough of all of it.
Had enough of it. None of this shit. Reform councillors, by the way, when they control councils, they realize that there's actually no bloat at all and that everything there is actually supposed to be there. And then one of their guys was proposing cuts to school buses for kids in the countryside who were more than 5 miles away from their school. As in, he thought that kids, like as young as 6 or 7 or no, as young as like 8 years old, had to walk in the country to school, even if they were several miles away. Like in the country, people who don't know about British countryside, sometimes there's no pavements. You're just walking on this little fucking bit between the yellow lines and a huge bush. And there are cars that are going really fast because the speed limit in all those country lanes sometimes stays at 70. So there are these cars coming like round these corners really suddenly, and you're just having to walk. Sometimes in the UK, when kids are walking to school in the winter, it's pitch dark and it's icy. And that was the kind of suggestions that these reform guys were making after saying these faceless bureaucrats who just want to be corrupt and these gay fucking pencil pushers who just want to make loads of money and waste the taxpayers' bees on fucking shit while they come in and they're like, oh, actually, kind of like, there's not really anything we can slash that's not fairly important. Let's make 8-year-olds walk several miles to school in the winter when it's dark on a country road that is dangerous even when adults walk on it. Okay. But yeah, taking a knife to the civil servants.
All right.
He later regretted the statement and said he should have said axe because that's more the appropriate term for cutbacks. Do you remember when Nigel Farage, after the Brexit vote, said that it was achieved without a single bullet being fired? Which was quite unsettling given that during the Brexit campaign, that during the Brexit campaign, someone who someone who was pro-Brexit murdered a Labour MP. But he didn't use a bullet, so I suppose Farage was completely on the money with that rhetoric. We did it without a single bullet being fired and only one blade being swung. Don't ever let them do this. Don't ever let them. Again, Polanski is a moron, whatever, but don't let these people play the victim over this shit. It does actually matter who fired the first shot. It does matter who set the tone to talk like this. And it wasn't the Green Party. Because at the time that Farage was saying all this shit, the leader of the Green Party was Caroline Lucas. A boring fucking Brighton MP who was the single voice in the House of Commons yapping about green energy for 10 years. Jo Cox was shot. Wait, was she? I thought she was stabbed. She was shot and stabbed. Oh well, it's not even, you can't even use that fucking excuse. I didn't know she was, Jesus, I didn't know she was shot. With a sawn-off rifle and a dagger. Huh. Yeah. You do. It was a week before the referendum vote. Toxic. Fucked up. What can you do, eh? In this fucking state of things. Hmm. UK speed limits are in miles per hour. Yeah. What's wrong with that? Problem? Cock? What? Anyway. When was the last time you covered good news? I covered that story about Scottish football fans being really newsworthy in the United States for drinking all the beer and everyone thinking they were funny. That was good news, wasn't it? The only good news comes out of Scotland. I'm sorry, the rest of the world is cooked, as far as I can see. Ooh!
Greater than we're being suffocated by bureaucracy. Greater than anti-bureaucracy candidate gets selected more than they cut funding to bureaucratic institutions. Greater than bureaucratic backlog grows longer. Greater than we're being suffocated by bureaucracy.
Thanks for the 60 shekels. I appreciate that, Lace and Tag. Wow.
You guys don't even know what communism is. You guys don't see the threat.
You don't even know what communism is. Okay. What even is communism? An American who knows what communism is? That's crazy. That's fucking wild.
At all. You're
Yes.
totally
AOC is not a communist.
Yes.
It's not about AOC being a communist. It's about would she permit, like Mamdani his, as a backdoor, all the commies into the party. That's the issue. And nobody's like, wow, like you're right, bro. Like these people constantly equate Democrats and Republicans as essentially being the same thing.
So we're defining the scope of potential positions they could take to only be contrary to their positions on Israel, I guess, in genocide.
They've turned it into that. They've decided that that is the hill to die on, and they've made that a non-negotiable is the most radical position. But how do you deal with it?
Yeah, criticize them
Wait,
as...
what? Excuse me. You're telling me You're telling me that opposing genocide is radical?
as needed. Criticize them as appropriate. What else do you suggest? Kill them? Kill them. Or do what?
It cannot be that every single time that we have these conversations, we're like just kind of like super brazenly sweeping for the DSA candidates.
Yeah, where's the sweeping?
Only
So wait a
care
minute, but
about
that's-
shit like the culture war bullshit or like a complete reform around the
But
systems that we know work.
that's what I asked about the DSA candidate. What if it's in a general election with a Republican? Can I support them then?
Well, at that point, we've failed. That's a completely
Well,
different question.
Okay, but then answer it though.
We've definitely failed because we've had at least 3 instances of that in this past election cycle, right?
I think that implies that he's talking about he's focused on primaries. But
Well, I don't
That's why
know.
I asked him. I've asked him repeatedly. Like, and it's not a gotcha. I'm just curious, like, because I might agree with him, but it just depends on where he draws the line. Right now, if what he's telling me is that I'm obligated to not support a DSA candidate or a DSA endorsed candidate when the alternative is a Republican, then I just unequivocally disagree, and we'll never draw the line there. That's why I was asking him to clarify.
Is there an answer there? I understand that you would have thought that we've already failed there, but what is your take on that?
Well, at that point, we're having a completely different conversation. I think that like I would answer the question in the most obvious way, which is like, yes, if it was a Republican on the other side, you would support the candidate. You have to. But like at that point, we've already failed as the Liberal Party.
So where's the disagreement?
By allowing the Liberals into allowing liberal candidates.
Where's the disagreement? I obviously don't support liberalism, and I would condemn people who, for example, there have been times where like populist candidates like Plattner have endorsed impeaching justices without good cause, in my view. Yeah, I've condemned that. I've been willing to call that out. And speaking of which, I'm pretty sure, wasn't there a whole discourse between DGG like that we should do illiberal things, and Hutch was on the other side, and in order to end fascism, we need to be illiberal? What happened to that discourse?
Don't get me started on that.
Wait, Hutch, you remember that discourse?
If you want to speak about DGG, you should drag.
We need to have like
Don't get me started on that.
So what happened to that? By the way, do you remember that, Presec?
I do, but I wouldn't want to speak for the entirety of DGG. Like I said, if you want the DGG spokesperson, he is sitting in the waiting room, so you can drag him in.
Who? Conduit? I see. I assume this is not the real Kash Patel, Henry Doggo, Fatty Fever. Yeah, like I don't know. Stephen. Oh, Stephen is listening.
Oh, there he is.
He's not in the request. He's not in the requests. He's not on the request. But like, yeah, I remember that discourse, and I remember it being like, oh no, we have to like break the rules in order to give punishment. And I'm like, all right, listen, maybe you can make that argument that's consistent or whatever. I am against illiberalism. I'm in favor of liberalism. I have no problem holding candidates to account who are illiberal and condemning them. What's the issue? Where are we failing to meet the moment as you introduced?
Because you are platforming the people who are trying to get them elected. What do you mean?
I'm not platforming. I'm a small, like, 100 viewer Andy. I'm not platforming shit.
You know what I mean? Like you would advocate for the platforming of these people because and only based on because they don't like Republicans. Like we're all in the same team in that sense, yes, but like we're not on the same team whenever it comes to the whole like liberal democracy thing.
In terms of the suggestion here, I guess I am sorry. I know this pisses people off, but like I'm in favor of them having a platform, by which you mean like I'm in favor of them not being censored. I'm in favor of them not being banned. I'm in favor of them having the freedom to speak. Or like what in what sense do you think that I'm in favor of their platforming? Like what is it that I'm not sufficiently calling out with respect to platforming?
Could the danger be that if you treat them favorably and give the impression and lend credence to the idea that we're all on the same team, and then you funnel people to their audience, and then like 6 months after that fucking rabbit hole, they're like Democrats are fucking completely beholden to corporate interests, they don't give a fuck about like that's the pipeline that I think is at least like my concern.
If I treat them favorably?
Yeah, if you treat them like they're
you treat them like one of us. That's
political friends.
Okay.
Don't ask me to define friend. I'm not going to do it.
I think I'm more likely to, like, if anything, take some of theirs than they are to take some of mine. I don't know, because I'm maybe that's false. That's just my intuition. Maybe I'm like totally coping about that. But regardless, I think it's useful to go on these big platforms and when it's called for it to be adversarial. And I think that there's probably some agreement. I don't think that you would say don't go on Joe Rogan, but because you would say go should be adversarial. And to the extent that I'm hearing illiberal things, or to the extent that I have criticism, like I called out Ryan Grimm earlier this week because of the Fauci shit. I added him, then I made a separate quote post about it, and like this is the kind of shit I'm apt to do. I do it with Cenk Uygur. Is there any reason to think that it would not be my conduct going forward? That I'm not fulfilling that?
Well, yeah, I think it is like a little bit of cope for sure, because I would say like generally midterms are like kind of a more like low turnout
did Ryan
environment, right?
accept that debate request?
I didn't ask him to do a debate, but he stopped responding.
Have you ever had an adversarial debate with any of these lefties ever?
With any which lefties? Yeah, I've had adversarial debates with lefties, not particularly with Kyle Kalinske or Crystal Ball, but with lefties who call in, Prime Kai, Ogre Boy, Vadim.
I haven't watched Logan in a while, to be honest, but where do we stand with the DSA types right now? I don't know why it's that complicated. I think it should be treated like the Tea Party, no? They're a group of extreme nutters who are quite clear that they don't really care that much for the party unless it's to use them as to co-opt them and use them as a weapon. So yeah, I don't really know how complicated it is. It doesn't mean it's a bigger problem than MAGA. But again, the political environment on the liberal side reflects that, because barely any liberals ever talk about the DSA as a threat or the left wing as a threat. They spend most of their time talking about MAGA.
Anybody with a platform, whatever you answer, the point I'm getting at is I know the answer is no, because they're never going to host those. So when you say I'll have an adversarial relationship with them, no, you won't.
Okay.
They never will. That's the point.
Okay. I mean, if you're saying they won't let me, then I mean, and tweets don't count, and Vadim doesn't count, and Ogre Boy doesn't count. Nothing counts. It only counts if it's scheduled specifically as a debate.
Oh yeah, he does debate Vadim and Ogre Boy. Hey.
Wait. Do you think that nothing counts is the same as saying only people that only have something to gain by using your platform because they're way smaller is the same thing as saying nothing counts? Is that
I'm asking what counts, and the only thing that counts.
No. Hold on.
Counts.
I asked you a clear question. Answer that yes or no. Is it the same to say that nothing counts is the exact same thing as only infinitesimally smaller creators? We'll talk to you.
Analytically, they're different by definition.
Okay, thank you. So when I say these people won't talk to you, what I mean is the Ryan Grimms and the Kyle Kalinskis and the Crystal Balls and the Sam Cedars are not going to have adversarial conversation with you, correct? Or can you give me an example of a single one you've had in the past?
I haven't had those debates with them. I haven't. So I don't know if they're willing. So the answer is I'm not. The answer is I'm not sure. The answer is I'm not sure. Wait, do you want my answer? Or do you not want my answer?
Well, you said you quote tweeted two of them and you didn't get a response.
Wait,
right?
I got an initial response from Ryan Grimm, and then he stopped responding after I'm like, well, this is insufficient.
Okay, so is that a long way of saying yes?
Hang on a second. So I haven't requested a specific debate with Ryan Grimm on Fauci, but your question was, would they be willing to be adversarial? And my answer to that is, I don't know with me. I'm not sure.
Okay, right. I'm curious. I think the answer is no.
Okay.
You guys got hung up a lot on this Adam Kinzinger and Liz Cheney thing. Why? Nobody is trying to run either of these two people as Democrats. These are Republicans. And the reason why we say these guys are good people is because they took a huge political career risk to do what they felt principally was the right thing.
Whether we're willing to run them or not is tangential. The question is on allyship. The question is on whether they're in the tent or not. And so it's tangential to say, are they running or is there sacrifice of a given quantity? That's just tangential to the question of whether they're ally.
Is if you were the United States versus Nazi Germany, is Texas the same thing to you as the Soviet Union?
Analytically, they're different. No. I mean, yes, they're different.
Okay, so when you say allyship, why are you doing this weird game of conflating all allies as the same thing?
I'm literally doing the opposite. I'm trying to disentangle. So I'll respond to that.
Do you think would you have the same standards for a never Trumper quote unquote ally as you would for somebody who is in your party?
What kind of standard are you talking about with respect to what?
I asked if you would have the same
with
standard.
what? I mean, you have different standards for different folks. I don't know what you're talking about. For different things.
So you have
for different things.
Well, so why do you keep comparing Adam and Liz Cheney with fucking?
Well, I'll tell you why. So a criteria is given by someone, let's call him Usurper Hutch, and they give a criteria for being in the tent or not being in the tent. Then we give someone and we apply the criteria. We apply the criteria. We apply the criteria. We apply the criteria that was given to us to some other person to test for consistency. And yeah, so that's the answer to that question.
I'm going to shout at Hutch. Hutch and Usurp, you guys are horrible. You guys said that those guys were in the Democratic Party tent. Did you guys really say
allies?
That?
Allies.
Yeah,
allies.
You leave me out of your petty.
Yes, they said they were allies. Yes, correct. Yes.
hold on, Hutch and Usurp, would you expect, let's see if Josiah and Pisco can guess what they're going to answer this. Hutch and Usurp, would you guess that Adam Kinzinger and Liz Cheney would vote for a Democrat over a moderate Republican?
Nope.
No, but that's not the question. That's not the question. That's tangential. Hang on, that's tangential. Hang on, that's tangential.
I'm just curious.
That's tangential.
Did you guess that they were going to answer that way? Did you guess they were going to answer? That's not.
That is tangential. The question is on allyship.
On the word allyship.
So
No,
that's
what do you mean
so
allyship?
we're
Okay,
assessing
back
one
to
thing
the
at a
other
time.
Is Texas and the Soviet Union
No, they're
the same
not.
thing
No,
as
they're
US
not.
allies?
No, they're not. So the question. Okay.
Stop saying allyship.
So the question. So the question.
Never Trumpers.
So the question is only. The question is whether or not people are in the tent, and it's a different question.
No, what do you mean the tent? You're equivocating.
There's no
You're
equivocation.
What is the
There's no equivocation. These terms in
They're
the
not
there's no
Democrats.
equivocation here. So an equivocation is using different definitions for terms. There's no equivocation here. You can't identify an equivocation.
When you say
And
tent, you're equivocating on the term tent because you're whatever it can mean, whichever you want it to mean. You're being intentionally
no, I'm
vague
not
on
being
what the
intentionally
tent
vague.
is.
So I'm the one. I'm the one calling. I'm
Do you consider Adam and Liz people that you would consider Democrats? in the
allies
future?
was the term we're using. Allies is the term we're using. Why are we changing the term?
What do we mean
Who's
by-
being slippery with
Because
language?
ally.
Uh-oh.
because- What do you mean by ally?
That's
here?
my
There's a
fucking
different
question.
standard.
That's what I ask, and they get fucking pissed when I ask, "What do you mean by ally?"
Strange that everybody here has an intuitive sense that there's a difference between an allied who is a never Trumper versus you. Think
That's
it's a
by
Democrat.
definition an equivocation, isn't it? You're using ally in different senses, yes or no? It
No,
is
it's
by
part of
definition an
parliament.
equivocation. You're saying ally is something different, and you're comparing two different things, apples and oranges. That's an equivocation.
No, equivocation is when you're being intentionally vague or hazy, like when you say big tent, big tent,
I'm
big tent,
asking.
there's
So
a standard everybody does that.
you're complaining. I'm the one who's asking for clarification about what these people mean with these fucking terms. That's been my whole cause this entire time. So I ask, "What do you mean by ally?" And Hutch says, "What do you mean by what do you mean?" Right? They're getting pissed that I'm asking clarifying questions, and you outrageously accuse me of equivocation. It's crazy.
Because what they mean when they say, "Oh, I think that Adam is an ally," and you also say like, "Oh, well, of course, Jeffries is an ally." We don't. Do you think they mean the same
I
thing
would.
when they say that?
I would hope they're not equivocating. That's why I'm trying to have
No, I'm
non-equivocation.
asking you, as a human being, gun to your head, when Hutch, if he says something like, "I think Adam
Gun to your head, that's political violence. What?
Kinzinger is like an ally,"
The
and obviously, I
the
think
truth
that
is, I'm not
Trump is an ally.
sure.
When he says ally, does he mean
The
the
truth,
same
the truth is, I'm not sure. I assume when I have these conversations. Wait. Let me finish my response. Let me finish my response. The truth is, I'm not. The truth is, I'm not sure. My assumption when I'm having this conversation is that we're not equivocating, right? So when we ask about allyship, my assumption is that Hutch isn't equivocating. That's why I want one standard, one criteria. That's why I'm asking these questions.
You're not going to have the same standard for
So then we
allies
are
who never
equivocating. If we're
Trumpers.
using different the terms that mean different things, that's equivocation.
No, it's like when somebody says a friend. Like, does a friend of the stream mean that they're going to be at your wedding? Like, what? Like a friend.
So that's what I'm. So what I'm trying to do is get clarity on language. When he asks whether Hassan is an ally or whether Hassan is in the tent, I need to know what he means.
Okay, then give us new words right now. If you were talking about Adam Kinzinger and Liz Cheney, I consider these two people, I don't know, friends, allies, whatever. They were willing to stake their political reputations on standing against Trump. I think that's a really admirable thing.
I do too.
And I think it benefits us in the long run and it benefits America. But I wouldn't consider them the same thing as like elected leader Democrats. So what is the different term you would use for them than what you would use?
I'm
for,
not
like,
proposing
an
the use of
elected
these terms. I'm responding to people who are asking me the question about whether given people such as Kyle or Crystal.
You don't like the same word. Hold on. But notice how I was able to understand immediately,
What?
and I could probably ask more questions, what Hutch and Usurp and anybody else.
Wait,
thinks of this idea.
so
These guys are
then
like
say, what
allies.
do they mean by ally?
As in, right now, there is a huge confrontation that we have with a foreboding force. We can call it fascism or Trumpism or MAGA or whatever. And these people seem to be standing on the side of basic liberal values. They seem to be people that recognize that they would put country before party, which you usually don't have to when it comes to voting Republican or Democrat. You're not supposed to be putting country before party here. All the parties should be for the country. But they recognize that at the moment, they have to align, at least temporarily, with the Democrats because the Republican Party represents such a great threat. But once that threat is gone, they're immediately back to the Republican side. They're not Democrats, they're Republicans.
So on that notion, Kinzinger is an ally in the same way that a Democrat's an ally. On that notion of allyship.
Oh my God.
On that notion of allyship.
If
you
you
just
take
provided.
if you take Kyle to be sincere, which I don't, and I don't think you have a good reason to.
Well, okay, no, but like
Yeah,
assuming
but I
that
would- I would-
if that's
I
all
would-
it means, then that's in
but
line with what Josiah was saying.
But I would
No,
put I
hold
would
on.
put
It's-
Kyle
no,
and
the reason
Crystal
why it's not
more
the
in the.
same is because everybody understands that Adam Kinzinger is a Republican, but people like you guys keep obscuring that Kyle Kalinske is a Democrat. He's not a Democrat. And once the election is over, we get back to normal.
When did me or Josiah say he was a Democrat?
People like you are going to keep Kyle over here where he's a fucking lunatic. If Kyle Kalinske and Crystal Ball and Ryan Grimm and the Majority Report, if all of these people were to disappear from politics forever, do you know what the seat effect on Democrats would be?
Who knows? I don't know. You think positive?
It would be nothing.
Okay, so there's no effects, right? So
Exactly. Or it would benefit.
So then
us.
then why the consternation? Then why the consternation?
The only thing
I think we would gain
hurting
seats.
us. We're not. It's not like Kyle is out there turning independents or Kyle is out there convincing MAGA to join our party. They're only doing damage.
Okay, so now we're going to find a quote of either Josiah or I calling Kyle a Democrat. Never heard that happen. Josiah was very clear in the sense in which he's using ally, that Kyle on that vision, assuming he's sincere, is an ally on that view. But he never called him a Democrat. He never said treat them the same as you would treat Hakeem.
I don't think Kyle and
earlier,
Crystal wouldn't
you guys
even call
kept asking
themselves
earlier.
Democrats.
Sure. You guys kept asking earlier, what would you do differently? What would you do differently? Okay, so I just wrote a little bit. So like Josiah has a video saying Tucker, Pierce, go nuclear on Ben Shapiro. Would you ever have a video titled like this related to the Majority Report or Kyle Kalinske or Jimmy Dore, where they're going like nuclear on each other over disagreements on DSA stuff?
No, because it's
No.
my shit's
Okay,
towards
you have a video
anti-Trump.
titled, okay, fuck Bill Maher. Would you ever make a video about that related to Crystal Ball giving an insanely raked over the coals interview to Slotkin or Matt Berenstein and these people abusing the fuck out of Mick Morrow? Would you ever title a video called, okay, fuck Matt, fuck Emma Vigilant?
If she said that she was open to
Yes, I've heard of the Hamas and PIJ obituaries that identified hundreds of fighters. Yes, I'm aware. Very aware. Ooh.
voting for JD Vance, maybe.
You mean like Hassan and Vosh?
You mean like you?
Streamers have said? You mean like Hassan and Vosh? Over
Yes,
the two
yes, like Hassan and Vosh and
I
you.
publicly criticize.
And me, peaceful?
And you said that you were, it's unsure whether or not you vote for AOC.
I said over AOC, assuming a socialist takeover. They said over Gavin Newsom. Hold on. Do you
I'm
recognize
sorry.
the difference between
I'm
those two
sorry.
statements?
So when
Yes or
I
no?
asked that
Yes or
question,
no? Do you recognize the difference between those two statements? Yes or no?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but just an invented thing.
Okay,
I
do you
never
agree that
asked whether or not
Gavin
you vote for
Newsom over
AOC
JD
given
Vance-
socialist takeover. I asked whether you would vote for AOC or JD Vance, not
Steven,
assuming
sorry. This is
socialist
as much.
takeover.
No, the question to you was just as much of a no-brainer as it was to Hassan, and I publicly criticized Hassan when he gave
because
it.
you guys don't even know what communism is. You guys don't see the threat at all. You don't care at all. You're
Yes.
totally
AOC is not a communist.
Yes.
It's not about AOC being a communist. It's about would she permit, like Mamdani his, as a backdoor, all the commies into the party. That's the issue.
Yes.
I would prefer an economy ran by JD Vance over like the Green New Deal that literally destroys 25% or whatever of all corporations and turns them over to worker-owned fucking boards. That's insane. That the Green New Deal is an insane federal jobs guarantee. There's just so much insane shit in the Green New Deal, but we just don't talk about it anymore because it never went anywhere. But now we just look at AOC as like the moderated candidate that's had to move away from like the far left. But it's such a meaningless question.
Would you
think
back
an
a
easier question
JD
would be
Vance
like,
when he said that he wouldn't certify the results of an election that he'd lose?
Yeah, on liberalism grounds, hopefully.
what? Yeah, that's disqualifying to me. But so is being a communist.
Wait a minute. But so which of the two would you vote for if you had to choose between two disqualified candidates? You said that you would rather have an economy run by JD Vance.
Bro, at that point, I would probably take the Kalinske out and say, well, I don't know who I was supposed to say. And I just wouldn't endorse anybody. If I have to vote between a communist and a fascist, fuck me, dude.
Well, AOC is not a communist. So again, the problem for you is that the hypothetical pose, Stephen, the hypothetical pose to you was a no-brainer. It was easy. AOC, and every fucking timeline in the multiverse. Period.
Oh my
just like to say the same fucking thing, the same hypothetical, Stephen, the same hypothetical.
What is this fucking low volume cuck? This is where this came from. Okay.
The same hypothetical that was posed to Hassan, Newsom, or JD Vance, that was also a no-brainer. And I criticized Hassan when he said what he said. As a matter of fact, and when you gave your fucking retarded answer on AOC versus JD Vance, I bit my tongue. I'm not here to try to take swings at you and Hassan and everybody else just because you give a fucking stupid answer.
You don't want to swing at anybody. Well, they're all swinging at us. You just sit in the corner and do nothing, and then watch them eat the fucking party from the inside. That's the problem. That is the issue. It should be infinitely easier to say, would you vote for a moderate Dem over the fucking
taking swings at you?
Thing about Hassan's handler Eric over Jim? He supposedly does a lot for him on the back end for interviews. He also is connected to Chinese foreign agent Roy Singham and says the Uyghur genocide is fake.
Thanks for the $20. That's really interesting. That's crazy. That never happened. What? But even if that were all true, what's the point, man? No one gives a fuck. just call him a dog shocker, okay? No one cares. No one cares about anything else. Play their game. Call him a dog shocker. Fuck that.
Over your answer? Should I be taking swings at you over your answer, Stephen?
Maybe communism in 2 years. Like
He didn't give you a hard time. Desire didn't give you a hard time.
It wasn't communism versus JD Vance. It was AOC versus JD Vance. You gave a dumb answer. Should I and everybody else be like pointing our ire towards you? I bit my tongue. I bit my tongue. Was like, okay, I disagree with that, and moved on.
Yeah, nice. What am I assuming the policy differences are between AOC and JD Vance? Because the stated policies verbally, Vance I'm sorry, he's given better policies and better answers than AOC.
Oh, wow.
I'm sorry if that's offensive, but like that's just true. We can debate on any of the economic policies you want.
Is this the Green New Deal that he's referring to? The Green New Deal is quite mad, but I guess like the problem with people like JD Vance is not the policies they advocate for. It's the things that they try to that they actually try to do. AOC would lose an election and walk. JD Vance would. He's admitted that he would have, had he been in Mike Pence's position, he would have pretended to count the fake electors. He would have tried to make Trump president when he lost.
Sounds like he has a decent understanding of things. Now, I also happen to think that Vance is a fucking fascist who's been brain fucked by fucking Peter Thiel and them, but he hasn't said that. So what the fuck are the assumptions I'm supposed to make? I can make a bunch of crazy assumptions about Vance that aren't even really that crazy based on all of the shit that I think is in his background. But then what, am I just supposed to assume that AOC is going to be a moderate left Dem, like a fucking Gavin Newsom, or like a kind of far left Dem, like Gavin Newsom? Like, what the fuck? Why would I give her so much charitability, especially when you guys have proven that you are completely and totally incompetent when it comes to talking about anything bad to the left, but give infinite lack of charitability to JD Vance?
I don't know how to respond. I mean, like,
I know you don't.
Yeah.
Okay. So the comparisons between Adam Cheney, or I'm sorry,
does AOC still actually champion the Green New Deal? She's still firmly AI says she still firmly backs it. Okay, thank you. Ooh. Destiny is using hyperbole. I don't think that doesn't sound like hyperbole. It sounds like he would prefer Vance over AOC because of their stated policy platform, which as I've learned, and if you think JD Vance is a fascist, but then you wouldn't really go for his policy platform, because as I learned, policy platform tells you less about fascists than like basically anything else. Like, the policy platforms change with the wind. They don't even have platforms half the time. There is a debate to be had about like the sense that AOC doesn't really scare me as an American politician in any way. I think she's actually she's quite great, and her political evolution has been very encouraging. I don't think I'd ever be so much scared of her as the people who back her up, or the people that would get elevated with her. Like, if her story is the same as Mamdani's, where she ends up elevating people like that Daria Lisa person, then that is actually something to worry about, right? That, like, if you are just becoming like let's say, for the alternative of the Republicans, let's say AOC is like a Sarah Palin position where she's like the Tea Party person for now, but she's just kind of paving the way for some fucking like DSA nut job later on, then that is actually quite scary. Yeah. So, but with someone like Vance, you can argue the same thing. Like, Vance is not, like, the scary thing about Vance, or like any fascist really, is not their stated policy platform. The scary thing about them is the kind of things that they do to get the ways that they get radicalized by their base when they're in power, or when they're on the move up to power. But I guess it's like, would you rather a politician tries to pass the Green New Deal, or would you rather they try to subvert democracy when they lose?
But between Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger and the rest of the Democrats, the big issue that I have is that when you guys talk about, like, well, these other guys have realized they made a mistake, can you think of a single political hit or sacrifice, a single unpopular thing that any of these lefties has said or done in service to the Democratic Party ever.
Unpopular with respect to the overall country or to their base?
Who is their base?
Their constituency, the voter constituency, the far lefties. I'm assuming in the case of lefties.
Why would
them acknowledging that the Democratic Party is better than the
because you know I got one in the pocket, right? And you know I got one for AOC.
I mean, who is their base?
Yeah, the left wing of the Democratic Party, correct?
The socialists and the communists. So have they ever taken a hit?
And you know they have. And you know
for what?
AOC voting against, drumroll, the Iron Dome, or voting president. She lost the endorsement of DSA.
Hold on. I'm not talking about AOC. I'm talking about the media people. Your That's
I thought we were just talking about politicians. Now we're back to I thought we were talking about so Kinzinger and Cheney versus Kalinske and Crystal Ball in terms of taking an unpopular position.
Or any of the left-wing media people, any of like the lefties.
There's no equivalent to Kinzinger or Cheney. None.
Yeah, there's nothing close.
There's nothing at all. Nothing close. There's nothing at all.
I'm not sure of that. I'm not the lore master for all their positions.
I mean,
no. The answer is no. The answer is no. I can't think of something off the top of my head.
Saying that he would drag his balls over broken glass to vote for a centrist candidate over a MAGA Republican is probably not what leftists want to hear. The fact that he said that.
Hold on. Do you guys think they will support anybody in the
primaries? Him saying that. No, you asked for a statement they gave that would rub their base wrong or whatever. And Josiah said the statement that they would, go and vote for Joe Manchin.
They'll understand that like things like AIPAC and Israel are non-negotiables. They understand that when he says that.
Is that contradicting what Josiah said? Or that you asked for example, Josiah gave one?
No, because there's not a hit taken there. Nobody's like, wow, like you're right, bro. Like these people constantly equate Democrats and Republicans as essentially being the same thing.
So we're defining the scope of potential positions they could take to only be contrary to their positions on Israel, I guess, and genocide. And it seems like every time we go through this exercise, it comes down to that it turns into a merits discussion on their position on Israel-Palestine. And only if they took a position contrary to that.
They've turned it into that. They've decided that is the hill to die on, and they've made that a non-negotiable is the most radical fucking position on a topic they haven't known.
I don't know that they ever taken a position that you're saying would qualify, which is contrary to their position on Gaza, Israel, Palestine. I don't know that they've ever taken that position.
The best example is when Kyle.
You guys think that these guys could abstain from the Harris-Trump election, but they're going to come out for moderate Dems in the midterms.
But the best example,
I can't even believe it.
Hang on. The best example of Kyle doing this, and he actually did kind of like surprise me a little bit, was there was like a brief window, like 3 or 4 months during the Biden presidency, when he railed on Breonna Joy Gray in that conversation they had. And he genuinely went to bat for Biden in a way that I think probably pissed off a lot of his fans. But that lasted literally like 3 or 4 months. And then as soon as October 7th popped off, it was just off to the races at that point.
So in your view, there have been examples of it, Hutch?
That was literally.
I mean, that's an example of also how inconsistent it is and how, because I don't know what happened in the sense that I do believe that in order to be at that level of people like Kyle and Chris and all that, I think they are paying quite a bit of attention to the way that their audience responds to them, and maybe not necessarily trying to lie or anything like that, but definitely just kind of picking the issues that are going to get them like positive feedback. I think creators are radicalized by their audiences, or they can be. I wonder if they just found that doing that approach just wasn't really that beneficial to them. But especially after October 7th, again, it's just that the Israel situation just ruined so many people's brains and the way that they approach politics. I don't know. I can come up with some theories of mind for how that happened, but it's so bizarre just how it drew such a firm line, especially given that the results they're trying to achieve are either unrealistic or just not being pursued anyway. It's very... very, very odd.
The one example, just the one. I'm just saying,
one's more than zero.
It's more than zero. It's just literally one time. One time he did that.
All right. I mean, what is this all for? I mean, is any of this inconsistent? Assume that it's true. Assume that it's true that they've only done it one time. So what? What is that inconsistent with Josiah or my positions? What is the contradiction? What is the problem?
you guys keep complaining that the Democratic brand sucks, and I agree that it does. But part of the reason why it sucks is because when people look at the Democrats, they don't know who the fuck the Democrats are, and nobody in the Democratic Party is able to look at the far lefty lunatics and say, that's not us. So these guys get to constantly dominate the messaging. They constantly get to have Fox News throwing up fucking Hassan and fucking all these lunatic weirdo fucks who are happy to go on there and prance around because they know they're not hurting their fucking lunatic socialist base. And then they can gerrymander us out of fucking districts. They can fight us on every fucking part of the media while the lefties are doing the exact fucking same. And when any moderate left person is looking for any support whatsoever, they don't get it. They go on breaking points and they get fucking destroyed by Crystal Ball. Neither of you fucking say anything. They go on Matt Berenstein. McMurrow gets fucking destroyed by Matt and fucking Emma. Neither of you guys fucking say anything. Every fucking place in the alternative media that they
But that's
go.
because there's this other problem as well where where people who don't believe the entire like crazy radical left alternative view on Israel and Palestine, that's just not like a top issue for them. Their top issue is Trump or something else, and there just hasn't been like the people with actually who want to have like a nuanced approach on Israel Palestine and want to actually put it into some kind of perspective and maybe acknowledge the limits of an American campaign, like an American campaign to actually try and change the course of events in that part of the world. Those people haven't really existed, or they haven't really had enough push. Like, well, yeah, I'll maybe partly blame myself for that in a way. I could have maybe done more. But as far as holding back that fucking tide, it wouldn't have been enough. But that's why you're kind of in this situation as well, where the quote unquote crazy Israel Palestine positions that these people have, as far as I have been able to see, it seems like Pisco agrees with a lot of it. It seems like Josiah maybe agrees with all of it. Maybe even Hutch does. I think Hutch called it. He went down the genocide road after a little while. But you see, it's like this whole phenomenon, right? Because why would you challenge those groups on the details or on the bits that you disagree with them? Because this was Natalie talking about it today. I've been waiting for this to blow over, but it's been years, so I have to address it. Can one of the 100,000 leftists on here, for whom it's an essential article of faith that I am a genocide-loving Zionist, explain why? Despite my condemning the genocide of times and dozens of times, and never saying anything positive about Israel in my entire life. If you can't explain it, then I have to conclude that all of you have such a terminal case of bitch-eating cracker syndrome that you've actually cheapened the Palestinian cause to the level of like ethics in games journalism. Yeah, it's just yeah, why would you ever pick this fight? Especially if your concern is the United States.
Go to besides Hutch's channel or mine, I guess they get fucking mind fucked.
No, that's not true. I've interviewed Democratic Congress people and Democratic senators.
These guys aren't fighters. They won't stand.
We gave Mark Kelly a hand job.
Wait a minute.
Gave a bunch of people
Hey,
a
let's
hand
go.
job.
Stephen, you're just objectively wrong. You're just objectively wrong. I've interviewed Democratic Congress people and Democratic senators, and I don't fucking rake them over the coals. David Pakman does the same thing. Brian Tyler Cohen. You're just wrong.
Hey, Josiah, I looked up.
I'm sure there are some. Okay, maybe there are a couple channels on the lib left.
We've done it. We've given hand jobs to these politicians.
You're talking to someone.
That's fine, but you guys have nothing to say when the far left rake these people
Says
over the
who?
coals.
Says who? Okay, like you can find.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wait, if I go through your channel, is there heavy criticism of you? No, actually, wait. Why am I even asking this? I watch you defend those dog shit fucking interviews. You're fucking crazy, bro. You slept both of them up defending the horrible fucking roast session that I think Crystal Ball gave to fucking Slotkin. And I don't know if you covered the Berenstein.
So this is so you're taking the view that if you are not outraged by the Crystal Ball interview of Alyssa Slotkin, you're like definitionally bad faith or something. But yeah, I'm sorry.
Did I say bad faith? Did I say that? Is there an echo here? Did I say bad faith?
Well, I guess I don't know what the conclusion is. That I'm unwilling to call it the left. Maybe I disagree with you.
You also got another one in here, Mockler, who does the same thing. Like when he interviews Democratic senators and Congress people, it's a polite interview. He's not raking them over the coals. It's a massive platform. It's friendly.
Yes, but nobody will limit the far left people who attack those people. Like, it's nice that you guys are nice, but the far left never will be. And you guys give nice interviews to far left candidates. The far left will never
and
give
liberals,
nice interviews to your
and more liberal candidates. I mean, we gave nice interview to Mark Kelly.
Yes, but I'm saying you guys will be nice to the lunatic fucking far left people. The far left people will never be nice. Do you understand that one-way treadmill like only moves to rot the party, moves people further left?
Yeah. So I acknowledge that is true, and I think that that's bad, and that they grade on a curve, and that they will never, I think, treat with respect the liberal candidate, and will use bombastic rhetoric, and it's bad. I just don't know how that's contradictory with our view. I mean, we are willing to criticize those creators.
And Hutch, Josiah, real quick.
Wait.
I looked at your channel from around the time that Hassan said that he wouldn't vote for Gavin Newsom over JD Vance, and I don't see a single video.
I didn't do a video on it. I did on Twitter.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Largest left-leaning streamer, Hassan Piker, by the way, but
we both criticized. I mean, Josiah made a big tweet about it. I did a review of it. I thought Mockler did a really good job when he got confessions there, and so we've covered that. We've criticized Hassan. It just seems like it's not enough. That we're not doing it enough.
What happened to Massey when he showed skepticism of Donald Trump? What happened to Marjorie Taylor Greene? You see how it's not the same? Do you see how the right knows how to keep their own in line, and they don't host their own like cancerous?
Yeah. We don't have the power. We don't have the power to do what Trump does vis-a-vis Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene. Doesn't exist.
Yeah, because you're not even willing to exercise the smallest amount of it. You get bullied by, admittedly, a small faction of the party. Like, legislatively, these guys are fucking, 4 seats maybe, I guess, if you count all 4 justice Dems, and then whatever the 3 incoming DSA seats are. But it's not like they just have a lot of media power. But because nobody is willing to say anything further left, not only does it hurt our own party on the inside, it makes the Republicans attack.
Let's criticize the left. I've seen Soypill say that he hates Hassan or something, and he's been critical, even though he doesn't agree with you guys on everything. In terms of your conclusions on socialists and left-wingers or whatever. Josiah, I have seen him criticize far-left people on his Twitter account. Maybe it's just a prescription that Josiah should be using his platform to make videos about it. And I heard that from, I forget who it was.
Somebody even brought up this tweet. This is the nicest, gentlest fucking tweet ever in terms of Josiah criticizing Hassan. He doesn't even name him. In terms of criticizing Hassan, the very worst Democrat is objectively better than any MAGA candidate. He could have said something like, I can't say because Newsom needs to earn my vote if he wants to apply leverage. If I watched the video, I think I did watch your video on Bill Maher.
So many gray names. This is all this is the huge new DebateCon audience that I've cultivated from my Scottish charms.
Who I agree is a fucking piece of shit.
Boof Cloud, thanks for the dono.
It was a million times more brutal than Hassan, who's supposed to be on our team, right?
Maher's supposed to be on our team, not Hassan. Bill Maher is supposed to be on our team more than Hassan is.
Okay, my brain is fried on that comment. I don't even know, but okay.
Wait, what do you mean you don't know? What do you mean you don't know, Stephen? Which of the two self-identifies as a Democrat? Which of the two self-identifies as a Democrat? Which of the two self-identifies as a Democrat?
I feel like Bill Maher is
correct. Bill Maher. Bill Maher says he's a Democrat. Bill Maher says he votes for Democrats. Bill Maher is supposed to be on the team much more than Hassan. So by your own logic, I should be holding him to a higher standard than Hassan Piker. And by the way,
so you're telling me that. Wait, so you're telling me that this ultra gentle tweet of we should hold his hand and help him be making better decisions is about somebody who's adversarial to the party? Because it looked like it was phrased to a fellow Democrat who's almost completely aligned with us, and he's just a little bit off on some things.
No, it's to a massive content creator who I guess at times endorses or supports very specific Democratic candidates, but who uses his platform irresponsibly and gives a shit.
Bill Maher is supposed to be a Dem. I guess I didn't know that. An old school, because he's just all I see from, because obviously he probably talks about other things, but all I see from him when he gets clipped is him yapping about fucking Muslims, right? It's kind of boring.
The answer to a no-brainer question. If you want to say that I don't want to pre-commit to a specific Democratic candidate because I'll forfeit all my leverage, That's one thing. It's kind of like where I was fine with the uncommitted movement during the
Who's
Democratic
saying that?
primary.
Nobody's saying.
No,
Do you think that that's what Hassan is saying?
No, what Josiah is saying
I don't
is
understand.
Bill Maher, on your own terms, identifies as a Democrat, and Hassan doesn't. And secondly, that Bill Maher said he's considering voting for a Republican, which isn't what Hassan said. Maybe that's explaining why one gets the one reaction versus the other. Those are just things that I don't know. I mean, this hall monitor behavior, in my opinion, is kind of cringe. It's a criticism, right? It's a criticism of Hassan.
Hall monitor behavior. What do you mean hall monitor behavior?
You're looking at his dick. You're looking to inspect like what his tweets are and the nature of the criticism, and you're basically being like virtue
You're
signal
looking at his dick.
harder,
What?
bro. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Cockwatch.
Notice how all the lefties do this to their own and how all of MAGA does this? Why are we the only people that can't like show support for their party? You see the problem?
You think Josiah
you
doesn't
saying I
show
don't
support for his party?
Really?
What?
I don't support the party.
That's not what I said.
You said
why
you
is it that we're
said
the
we,
only-
we don't expect people to show support for our party. Are you talking about me or are you talking about Hassan?
I'm talking about enforcing standards amongst people that are supposed to be Democrats. It seems like the right can do this, MAGA can do this, and the far left hankies absolutely do this. So why can't the center left do this? Why can't we ever enforce a standard anywhere?
In terms of calling it out, we do. You do. We all do, to one extent or another. That's what I did with Bill Maher. Bill Maher is supposed to be, again, listen, I'm an old school liberal. I'm a Democrat. I voted Democrat in every election. But you know what? My vote's up in the air 2028. And then for all the reasons I laid out, and yet you agreed with in your review of my video, the guy who said that, yeah, my number one issue is that people won't concede elections. Well, Bill Maher says that he might give his vote to the guy who specifically said he wouldn't concede an election if he'd been in Mike Pence's position. So by definition, Bill Maher should be like, I'll either vote for the Democrat or I won't vote at all, but no way in fuck would I vote for J.D. Vance.
Maybe I've just seen different stuff. My impression that I feel like Bill Maher hasn't been like a Democrat since like fucking 2016. Maybe I'm just like super
You're
off
wrong.
on that.
You're wrong.
Okay. Yeah. Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Okay, somebody linked a New York Post article from 2025 with Bill Maher drops bomb about his political affiliation. Quote, I was never a Democrat, end quote.
Oh.
What do you mean, never what?
Uh-oh.
Bill Maher says he never left the Democratic Party because he was never there to begin with. Quote, I never was a Democrat to begin with, end quote. Bill Maher said during his Club Random podcast released on Saturday with his guest actor, Esai Morales. Quote, I always like caucus with the Democrats, and I generally vote for them, end quote, the comedian said. Bill Maher said that he's anticipating a day when the Democratic Party will be, quote, as insane, end quote, as the Republican Party.
Was Bill Maher.
I feel like he's like one of the guys who's like, I like weed and shit, but like I feel like the woke stuff is too much. That's always been my impression.
He's a guy who's always complained about the Democratic Party, but he just said in that, and I'm glad you provided the rest of that quote, that he caucuses with the Democrats and votes for Democrats. He's a Democrat. He's more of a Democrat than Hassan is.
I think you'd grant that.
I would have considered Joe Rogan like 2018 to be more of a Democrat than Bill Maher. Would you agree with that or disagree?
I think I disagree.
Beg your pardon?
I would have considered Joe Rogan in like 2016 to 2018, like that time frame. I would have considered Joe Rogan to be more of like a Democrat than Bill Maher.
I disagree with that.
Like,
I was shocked.
No,
I was shocked with what you just said with Bill Maher. I always viewed him as a Democrat guy, and I never viewed him other than that. Like I feel like he's always. I mean, he had an HBO show, and before that, like where he's always glazing Democrats. So I mean, whether he identifies as that, I think you would consider him as more of a Democrat than Hassan. Through the highest point.
Through Obama, sure, but after that, I don't know.
He voted for Obama. He voted for Clinton. He voted for Biden. Supported Kamala.
Okay, here's my final question. Do you think that in the upcoming primaries, if you look at like Stevens and
I'll say it.
I don't even know.
It's the Green New Deal. It was a House resolution they tried to pass. I know it didn't have a lot of specificity because it was like a non-binding thing. Is it really this one? Like the 19-page? Is this what it is? I know it was, as far as cost went, it was just like potentially up into the trillions or tens of trillions. Like it was so ambitious, but I don't know if did it have like nationalization or was it more to do with like just an enormous injection in public funds? I'm curious what it is about this that the old Dustin finds so concerning. It was unserious. You remember it was like 2 pages. Mina, thanks for the tier 4 sub. Really appreciate it. Whoa. Let's go. Yeah, I'm actually not sure. It was a net zero very, very quickly. Read it. Shut up. This is about talking about the problems. Where's the program? Yep, net zero, fair transition for communities and workers, millions of jobs. It would be interesting to see compared to the actual New Deal, because I think a good metric for these kinds of things is what is the spending as a proportion of GDP? I think the New Deal was about 8% of GDP, wasn't it, for government spending? But I don't know if the cost of this was actually finalized. It was just something that people had to estimate. Following goals and projects. Oh, public ownership stakes and returns on investment. Adequate capital through community grants, public banks and other public financing. Technical expertise supporting policies and other forms of assistance to communities, organizations. Federal, state and local government agencies and business working on the Green New Deal mobilization. Okay, this might be a separate reading. Jobs guarantee, family sustaining wage. My memory of this is a lot to do with just insane amounts of money being required and not really much explanation of where the money would come from, but we'll see.
Do you think that these guys are really gonna like full-throatedly endorse Stevens if El Sayed?
By full-throatedly, you mean enthusiastic? No, I don't think so in any world.
No.
And you guys are.
I'm not okay with that. Why do you think we're okay with that?
You are okay with it. Your actions speak.
Wait, how are we okay with that? I don't want.
That's so insane to me.
I'm gonna buy a Haley Stevens T-shirt if.
The Republican Party is so much more lit than this. It's so cocked. Like, yeah, if their candidate they want to win loses, the fake doctor guy with fucking real estate in Dubai, then I probably, but there are allies. It's just so insanely cucked to me. I actually can't.
But then don't say we're okay with it. Just say that we're cucks and we're not loud enough about it. But like
what does it mean to be?
What's the difference?
The difference is we do have a dispositional attitude against them not being enthusiastic in supporting the Democrat. And I would wear a Haley Stevens.
Punishment.
They're not even here participating in the Democratic primary. They're just here using El Sayed as a vector to attack Democrats. And if he wins, they'll use it as a bigger vector to attack Democrats. And if he loses, then they'll still.
So you think you don't think that they're genuinely supportive of El Sayed? You think they're lying about that? It's just a means to an end to like shut on Dems.
Insofar as he's a tool, yeah.
Wait on a second.
Tool.
Hutch, you think that
that's why they hated why they hated soldiers until fucking four-term fucking dark what was it, Blackwater fucking Iraqi deployed totem cuff fucking Plattner the rapist showed up and they were okay with him.
So were you, and so were you for the general. And just to be,
because I legitimately support the Democratic Party, not just somebody to support.
But I want to ask.
That's the difference. Wait. Why did you just say so do you? Do you think that my support came from the same place as the?
I didn't claim it did. I didn't claim it.
If Chuck Schumer,
no.
If Chuck Schumer came out with a Totenkopf tattoo tomorrow, they wouldn't be defending it.
Oh my God!
I never claimed that they would be defending it. I never claimed that they're not don't have double standards. I'm just saying you were willing to look past those things too. Now they're probably hypocritical on that, but that's listen. And you don't even have to look at that. You can just look at how they dealt with like Azov or whatever, and saying that we're just funding Nazis. I hear you on all that stuff. I agree. But Hutch just said, oh, they would use them as tools. They're using El Sayed as tools. Isn't there a quote from you, Hutch, where you're like, the Democratic Party is just a tool? Isn't that like a benign opinion?
Tools to what end? No, wait, hang on. But tools to what end? That's the question. The tool that they want to use him for is to
The thing is, this democratic soul searching might be more appropriate of a topic now than ever, because it does seem like someone's on his way out. I don't know. Again, there is a very good reason that Trump is already preemptively calling the midterms fake, right? It's because he knows he's fucked. He knows that this war in Iran is something that he just cannot eject himself from, and it is going to be a constant nagging failure and a constant nagging stain on his record within his party and without, all the way up until the midterms. Approval rating has fallen to a new low since returning to the White House, according to a new Economist/YouGov poll released Tuesday, with just 34% of Americans approving of his job performance. The survey found 62% of Americans disapprove of Trump's performance, up 2 percentage points from the previous week, while 63% say the country is headed in the wrong direction. Despite Trump's declining numbers, Democrats have gained little ground politically, leading Republicans by just 4 points on a generic congressional ballot. That is so fucking disgusting. Oh, God. Democrats need some fucking vision, man. It's so bad that, like, Trump gets to make, like... I was thinking about this with the January 6th debate as well, with the fact that Trump just generated 4 or 5 completely new talking points, or one of which was a kind of repackaged version of the old one, with regards to Chinese interference and some fucking canvassing operations. And everyone, it seems, who was MAGA just bought it all, and then they just started going with it. The Democrats can't do that. Where has there ever been a time when the Democrats had like a talking points of the week thing that just happens to organically start dispersing amongst the voters and getting repeated by them? That doesn't seem to happen for them ever. It's so annoying. I feel like arguing with MAGA people on any of these issues is like just watching them they take like 5 shits on the floor, and by the time you finish cleaning up one of the shits, then they've made 5 more shits, and it just keeps going until we're all drowning in a fucking ocean, in a reflecting pool of shit. Struggles that extend beyond one poll. Approval rating at 34 from a Pew Research poll on July 23rd. Washington Post and Ipsos found 37%. Emerson College and Fox News showed Trump at 39. Reuters, Ipsos. So it's, yeah, he's hovering between 34 and 39% approval rating. It's nothing without Democrat enthusiasm, though, is it? Fucked up, bro.
Basically destroy the Democratic Party that they claim is like a fundamentally evil institution.
Oh.
So their goal is to not like, their primary goal is to not beat MAGA and Trump and Republicans. Okay. Their primary goal is to fester like a cancer within the Democratic Party.
Yeah, I feel like you guys don't understand. When they say we want to defeat fascism, they're talking about the Republicans and the Democrats. That's who they're talking about.
Deindustrialization created MAGA. Does Lohner ever talk about this? Oh, material conditions. It's just that I've never seen a movement so motivated by so much other than economic policy. Like, MAGA are like the ultimate fucking culture issues. What is the Paxton term? The mobilizing passions, just like the random fucking emotional cultural issues of the day. That's what gets MAGA energized. I don't know if they're... People are complex, okay?
But I don't know.
What about what?
They're talking about you and Pisco and us and all of us. They're talking about us, not just Republicans.
I just want to go put this out there because I found this article here. So, quote, I was never a Democrat to begin with. I always like caucus with the Democrats. I generally vote for them. I always vote for them, but I always look at it like, no, I'm actually going to make up my mind. They're just always less scary and less insane than the Republicans, but I wait for the day when it evens out. And also the title of it, Bill Maher drops bomb about his political affiliation. The reason it's a bomb is because everyone considers him a Democrat. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a bomb. And he says in there, he's a Democrat. When it comes to his vote and his support, he always votes Democrat.
base. No, I mean, like, again,
He
I feel
endorsed
like
Bernie Sanders in 2016. Then he endorsed Hillary Clinton when she won the primary.
certainly
He
more
backed
than
Joe
Hassan. I think you
Biden.
guys can grant that more than Hassan.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I would expect Hassan to be more of a Democratic player than Bill Maher if he was truly on the left. I just don't consider Bill Maher to be like the Democrat guy.
I was surprised that he said he's not a Democrat. I'm going to be honest with you.
That's
And
crazy.
So was I.
Yeah.
So was I. I was genuinely stunned there, and then I saw the full clip where he's
Well,
one
I
of
feel
those.
like he's
Out
one
of
of the
context.
biggest people who was like, the woke shit has gone too far. Bill Maher complained about woke as much as any fucking comedian dude. He fucking hates the
Yes,
woke
he
shit.
he
Like,
bitches about the left, Stephen. He hates the left. And you said that you identify with Bill Maher a lot too. You say that in the past. So like this shouldn't be a surprise. He's an establishment, old school liberal who votes Democrat over Republican. But he hates
when I say I identify with him, I mean like I get the woke cringe shit, but on magnitude, the reason why I agreed with your video is because the wokies are annoying as fuck. But JD Vance saying that he couldn't even give that the election he would certify the results
Right.
is so much worse. But like I'm just saying
and that's why I flipped out on Maher, is because it's just like this is a betrayal of everything that you said you valued. And even when it was articulated to him, like, well, you say you care about elections, and the Republicans, including Vance, don't support elections and don't accept the outcome. And then Maher's like, well, that's just shit that they have to say. It's just like, come on, better than
Man,
this.
I'm so glad I read this fucking Paxton book about fascism because I keep seeing the things now. I'm like those guys. I'm like that annoying bastard who's read one book and then like they just interpret everything in the world through that one. But actually, we're doing it like appropriately here. This idea that, because again, what book? It's called The Anatomy of Fascism by Robert Paxton. It's kind of like the go-to book for understanding what fascism is, even though he doesn't give you like an ideal type definition. It's like the definition is kind of like the accumulation of an entire book about the journey of like Hitler and Mussolini, from them starting out to winning elections or to coming close to winning elections, I guess, to getting appointed or support or put into power, to consolidating power, to the war, right? Like it's this whole process, and showing kind of like he rejects the idea that there should be this kind of like ideal type, simple one-word definition for the movement because of how fluid an ideology fascism is, and because of how anti-programmatic it is. One of the things that he talks about is how the way that they attracted voters was often to do with a kind of like lesser of two evils mentality as well, in the sense that fascists won the support of largely conservatives and middle class people, or people across the board of society, but like people who were already had some kind of like right leaning inkling, but also concerned liberals. But their big thing, as well as the kind of right wing national humiliation at the world stage and needing to assert themselves aggressively and needing to purify the nation from within, and the fear of minorities and everything, it was also the fear of leftism, right? The fear of cultural decline and the fear of like degeneracy. Like that was a big thing as well. Like the culture shock of just how fast history was moving after World War I, and also the fear of communism and fear of revolution, and how a lot of people who didn't actually like fascists, who had no time for them, tolerated them because the alternative was worse, because the leftist alternative was more scary. And there's just a few bits here that like I already knew, but I'd never really like thought about it in a totality, that fascists, when they try to coup the government, they always fail. Hitler failed in the beer hall putsch. Trump failed in January 6th. And in France, the fascists failed in 1934 to storm the Parliament building. They didn't even make it in the building. But Mussolini failed as well. The March on Rome was a failure. It's not treated as one because he ended up becoming leader, but the March on Rome was supposed to be, Mussolini didn't fail. Well, allow me to educate you. Mussolini failed in the March of Rome. People don't know this. He assembled tens of thousands of black shirts to surround Rome and to march forward down from 3 particular points and to surround the city. He tried to do this, but then the prime minister at the time and the government at the time, they assembled the National Guard and the military to start rounding up people who were from the black shirts when they were on their way in. And when they did this, they managed to round up, I think, 20,000 of them. However many they managed to round up. I think there were only 8,000 left surrounding the city. And the government was ready to impose martial law to clear out the rest of them and basically crush them. And they would have. 8,000 black shirts wouldn't have taken over Rome against the military. But the king, who is the one who authorizes martial law, didn't want to. And he didn't want to because he thought there would be too much of a political backlash if they were to just gun down like 8,000 black shirts in the middle of the city. Like they thought he just didn't want that. So basically it was like a bluff of Mussolini's that he like didn't call. And Mussolini was not marching on Rome when he became prime minister. He went in on a train and the prime minister appointed him prime minister because he thought, well, it's better to control him than to allow this kind of bloodshed with martial law. It was the king made a choice. He made a very open choice, and it's the same with Hitler as well. Hitler was not didn't coup the government. He was appointed through the kind of back deal politics, the backdoor conspiracies and politics of Hindenburg and von Papen. So as for Franco is an odd one because he is not actually seen by Paxton and actually quite a few scholars as like an actual fascist. He allied with fascists, with the Phalangist movement, but he is a bit different in the sense that when he ruled, especially after the Civil War, Franco did not really, he dropped a lot of the tendencies that fascist leaders actually had. He dropped any kind of populism. He dropped any kind of sense of like mass appeal and the politics of excitement or the politics of like ever-changing responses to the masses' emotions. Like a authoritarian dictator does not need the masses to energize. They don't need the masses to like them or to say that much about them. Like a standard authoritarian would rather the masses just didn't think about them at all. This is like in the Middle East where you have some of these monarchs where there's even like, you can only talk about the monarch so much before you're in trouble with the law, right? Like they're just there and you kind of just exist with them and you don't really think about them that much. That's not what fascists do. Fascists, even when they're in power, constantly need to be energizing this base. And that's not really what Franco did, especially after the Civil War. Pinochet is the same as well. These people were authoritarians more than having that kind of like unique populist quality that fascists do. It's the same with like Imperial Japan. Like the majority of scholars don't call Imperial Japan fascist. So that's kind of where I think like the main difference is it's to do with that like that mass popular base and that populism that actually extends beyond just winning elections. Why don't they call Imperial Japan fascist? For a few reasons. One, because they weren't trying to build off of a mass popular movement, for one. They were some people described it as top-down fascism, like not really trying to tap into the emotions of the everyday person and to keep a base like constantly energized with ever more thrilling politics. That's not really what they were doing. They were top-down, and their brand of nationalism and conservatism was purely traditional. It was purely like traditional authoritarian politics. It wasn't the same as like this kind of like vague, nostalgic, but also equally futuristic and also top down, but also very much built on like grassroots, like and mass appeal and constantly getting like feedback from public opinion. Like Japan, which just wasn't really like, they weren't populist. Imperial Japan was not populist. And populism, according to like the more academic definitions of fascism, is kind of necessary. It's a very essential part of their advocacy. Where did that even start from? Holy shit.
Well, I think I have a clear prescription now. The next time this happens,
I hope that I'm wrong. I hope that in 3 months I'll be salty on stream, okay? But I'll be happy if all these lefty people are legitimately super fucking gung ho.
they're not going to be gung ho for at least.
Yeah, you also wouldn't call European monarchs like classical dictators, even Gulf monarchs. Like, yeah, they usually these guys are not called fascist. Yeah. Did Franco have a populist element? My understanding is that he seemed to throughout the Civil War, and he was much more humoring of the Falange movement in the war. But after the war, Spain became like it was like a one-party state, with the only party being the Falange, like the fascists. But their role was like completely symbolic. I don't think they really ever had any real power after Franco took power. And he even said, after 1945, Franco said that it was necessary to lower the Phalange's sails. Franco's rule is described by a lot of scholars as more Catholic than fascist. But you can still be kind of both, I suppose. Like there can be religious fascist movements, but for a whole bunch of other reasons as well. Like when you're in the stage of just being a kind of like boring dictatorship, and you control the civil service, and you control the courts, and you control like all these different spheres of society, and you control education, you're not really at odds with any traditional conservative elite or anything like that, then it ceases to be like a fascist movement. Becomes something else. Was Mosley fascist? Yes.
Stevens, we told you we're not predicting that. That's not the prediction.
Fuck me.
Wait, why do you say fuck me? We never said that they're going to be gun ho.
Are you okay then? Are you okay having a coalition inside the party that's only here to advocate for radical leftists to rot the party out, but they're never going to run anything against other
No,
Republicans?
I'm not okay with people with that intent. I'm not okay with that. And by okay here, I mean I don't like it.
But how do you
Did you hear you say Arab monarchs are not fascists? I mean, show me one who is. Arab monarchs are not populist. And populism, as far as I can see, like as far as like multiple definitions of fascism that I've come across, populism is a big part of it. Like you kind of need the populism as well. Am I wrong? Like Arab monarchs don't want the public to give a fuck about them. An Arab monarch's ideal state of affairs is like they rule and no one talks about them. That's it. Yeah, that's what they want. Fascists are not like that. Even when they're in power, fascists need to be energizing, and they need to have like a popular base movement to sustain like a particular image.
deal with it?
Yeah, criticize them as needed. Criticize them as appropriate. What else do you
Nobody
suggest?
does.
Kill them, or do what?
Oh my
What do we
God.
do?
Is that it? It's do nothing? Is that it?
No,
Please go.
no. Tell us what to do. What do we
I
do?
already did. I've already listed. I said if there is infighting between
Why wouldn't Saddam be a fascist? Saddam probably would be, but there are a few caveats there that I know that Paxton would say he's not, although I don't know if I agree with it. Paxton seems to think that a fascist can only emerge out of a democracy because part of their action, like part of their trajectory, is to undermine democratic institutions and to rise up in opposition to democratic institutions. But I don't know if I buy that. I don't know why like a dictator can't be replaced by a fascist dictator. But yeah, fucking.
like DSA people and moderate Dems. Would anybody make a video on it? You guys, or at least Josiah said no, he wouldn't. If there was like a far lefty that gave a really fucking retarded take when Vosh or Hassan, as much as they're irrelevant or whatever, they're the two largest lefty streamers. When they say things like, I wouldn't support Gavin Newsom over fucking JD Vance.
I did a whole fucking stream on that, and Josiah had a tweet about it.
Insane amount of anti-Semitism, but I understand that. Fuck Jews base. Okay, who cares? And the fact that you guys think that Ossoff would be anywhere near the good boy list on either of these two people is fucking insane. They will all fucking dogpile the Jew dude if he gets anywhere fucking near an actual big office.
Same with Shapiro.
But like, I just don't think that like the amount of criticism, like, well, in a live stream once, and I made a big.
Is economic structure irrelevant then? China's economy is very similar to fascist Italy's. Again, fascist Italy's when? Italy, again, the economic argument is just so... people who make an economic argument about like an essential economics for fascists, they don't know what fascism is. They have no fucking idea how it worked. Mussolini's economic policy changed like at least 3 times, quite substantially, when he was ruling. Right? He was initially when he's appointed, he was a free market, lowering taxes and wait, let me find the list. Yeah, he his first finance minister was a laissez-faire capitalist. He reduced the state intervention. They privatized some industry. They cut taxes. They diminished government spending. They balanced the budget. Like this is not. But then later on, he's talking about corporatism and these kind of weird state entities where unions are abolished, and there's these kind of state entities that where the state kind of like mediates and does the disputes between workers and bosses. In practice, it was just this. It was completely dictated by big business. And then after that, he's just nationalizing fucking everything for the war. So he's I don't know, like Mussolini's. The economics is just, it's probably. Let me find it. I think the quote is that the line from Paxton is that is the economic policy is probably where you see the biggest rift between fascist rhetoric and promises and their actions. It seems like economic policy was the one place where it just seemed to there'd be no consistency. It was just completely amorphous. Hitler did this like incredibly. He went from the craziest anti-communist to having a rift with big business in like 1932 or 33 with the rail worker strike, and then going straight back to giving speeches to industrialists and reassuring them that he's like a social economic Darwinist and they'll be fine. And they were mostly fine. But as far as the economic liberties of big business in fascist Italy and Nazi Germany, they were pretty much like the hierarchy was mostly intact. They didn't really attack capitalism as often as people think. They did when it came to rearmament and pushing for the war. And with the Nazis, there was like a level of protectionism that annoyed big business. But I mean, Trump did that as well, right? The tariffs were like the ultimate fuck you business. It's an import tax. It was like one of the biggest sweeping tariffs, I think, ever by any country in history. So shit.
So we criticize. You acknowledge we criticize. You just think the criticism is insufficient. It should be more prominent. It should be more. It should be louder, and it should be more vituperative.
Well, why do we criticize? What is the point of criticism?
There's many different purposes that one can have for criticism: to change opinions, to make content, to
push a change. I criticize a thing because I want that thing to change. If it's a small light tweet that isn't really even seen by the other person and there's no social pressure attached to it, there's no change.
Oh fuck! I also forgot. Oh, it's all the debate fucking flashbacks as well. In the 30s, yeah, when it came to the economy, yes, there was that period, like, because Rob Noor was bringing this up as well. Yes, when there was something that like that you could describe as replacing market forces with a level of economic state management, but that's very contextual. This is like the state did get a lot more involved in not so much in like deprivatize or anything like that, but involved in kind of dictating from the state like a level of like economic like mandate or quota. But this is contextual. This is because when did this happen? It was right in the Great Depression. Okay. And it was in a time when most businesses actually approved of what they were doing. They thought this was like a necessary way out of the depression. So again, it's all contextual. Like if anyone tries to define fascist by some rigid economic policy or especially corporatism, they're just fucking retarded. Like, and actually fascist parties try to do this as well. And like Mussolini would have just laughed in their faces for trying that because it's just not how he operated.
It's just a good thing. It was like dropping into the atmosphere. It means nothing.
I mean, there are multiple purposes to criticism. Another is to, make a name for yourself, to get your audience to understand how you think, and to spread your opinions among other individuals who your audience is. It doesn't necessarily mean, changing the specific position of whoever it is that you're interacting with. But no, I mean, like I think that I'm vocal when I disagree with lefties. I mean, I have had screaming matches with lefties. I've reviewed content of Hassan. I've reviewed.
Would you call Trump a fascist? Why not wannabe authoritarian? Because Trump is a populist, and most authoritarians are not populist, for one. And two, Trump's brand of nationalism is just very, very similar, to put it lightly, to that of fascists more than authoritarians. His brand of nationalism crosses, like, it takes so many of these like boxes, not all of them. Okay, Trump, for example, is not like someone who talks all that much about like people having to for the state to like subsume the interests of the individual. Some people think that's like the minimum for fascists. I don't really agree and think that's shown in the history, but like Trump's nationalism, think about like, again, let me just define, let me do it vaguely. The country is globally humiliated. Everyone's taken the piss. Everyone wants a piece of us. And we are not going to get back our national pride on the world stage by negotiating and through diplomacy. We're going to get it from showing strength. We're going to get it from throwing our weight around. It's almost like we're going to treat it like a zero-sum game. That's one part of it. Internally, we are also in a catastrophic situation. Everything's catastrophic, where the left wingers are taking over. They're incredibly violent. They're destroying our culture. They are corrupting our country. They are bringing us down a terrifying path of Soviet-style communism. They need to be defeated by force, and we need to take these issues and remedy them by placing our trust into a strongman leader who is going to be bombastic, who's going to speak the emotional language of the masses, who is going to provide like a cult of unity and energy. And as far as national purity goes, we're going to have to take the fight to the others within the nation, not just the leftists, but also particular minority groups or like gender minority groups, maybe even for some people it's women, I guess. But we're going to need to return to this great past, but we're also going to spearhead the future at the exact same time. This is what I just described. And also, if we lose an election, we're going to like not accept it. We're just going to use force to take it. I just described that was basically the platform that the Nazis ran on in the 1930s. And it's also the platform that Trump runs on. It's a very unique kind of like national revivalist with a very syncretic view of the past and of the future at the same time. It's very much revolving around the cult of a strongman. It constantly presents itself as a mass popular movement, the importance of crowds, and it is also eternally at odds with democratic liberties and at odds with establishment parties, whether or not they are liberal or conservative. The Nazis were always, even up until total war in like in 43, they were always at odds with the conservatives. The conservatives that were the ones who crushed the Action T4 policy in 1939. And what does Trump do? Like the one difference you could say, if people were more well read about this, like they could say that the difference is that Mussolini and Hitler led what was like called a mass party of nationalist militants, like a separate party that would collaborate with traditional elites, but always in an uneasy way. But Trump obviously joined the Republican Party. But if we're going to split those kind of hairs, like what does Trump do with the Republican Party? He fights with the rhinos. It's MAGA and the rhinos. So yeah, stand back and stand by. Like I think when you put it in those terms, like in that sense of like that's what the nationalism is, and that's what the main thing that we're going to capture an audience on. It's basically it's very similar, and but it's not the same as what most authoritarians do. How did your America trip go? All right, we could say.
The debate with Mockler, I thought Mockler did a good job.
Okay. All right. Listen, Hachin Usurp, I love you too very much. Josiah, I still love you very much. Pisco, I love you like 70%. Okay. Fuck you. I love you guys.
All right. See you, buddy.
Shit.
Hi, buddy.
I'm tired.
It sounds like he
boys.
just wants the asymmetric media landscape thing on our end. He just wants the power of the asymmetric media landscape, and that's what he's upset about.
DGG, I hope you're happy. I have done everything in my power to avoid screaming at Steven, and it finally
Are
fucking...
you still in the fascist research arc, or is that debate over? I think I'm going to fine tune my definition just to make it more like sound bitey, but yeah, no, I'll still do a bit. I think I gained a lot more than I thought I would from reading about definitions and such.
Happen. I hope all of you are happy for making this happen.
I didn't mean for this to happen. What the fuck? I just wanted to talk to Pisco. I just had a question.
Yeah, sorry, my screen cut out, but
Do everything in my power to keep this coalition together.
The coalition, guys. This is gonna
This
we have to
tent,
stop on these
this
lips
tent
because
together.
yeah,
And you made me break my one rule.
It's okay.
your one rule is don't yell at Steven. I mean, that's
No, my one
that's
rule,
cute.
my one rule is to try to avoid screaming at every like major ally as much
Except
as I
for Bill
possibly
Maher.
can.
Except for Bill Maher.
But
They're
it's,
gonna make a video that says fuck Bill Maher.
but Bill Maher said he would vote for JD Vance.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
And
I
when,
guess that's
and,
true.
and when Steven said that, I tried not to. I just bit my tongue and moved on. And
Wait, is he
here
still
we are.
there?
And
Did
now,
he
now
leave?
it finally happened.
All right, well, I think it's gonna call it unless there's other shit. I mean, Persec, did you feel like you got your word out, or is there some additional thing that you wanted to ask us?
Yeah, not too much. Basically, are you guys familiar with like the polling for like how familiar with the polling, I guess, for like how fertile the soil is right now for, no pun intended, like the farmers and sort of like the more rural folk right now that are super not impressed with how Trump is doing?
I'm not sure about the polling on
Yeah, you can send me a PDF, Dev. Go ahead.
rural farmers.
Dude, as somebody who grew up in Kentucky, I'm just the bulk of these motherfuckers. It is Lucy in the football. They voted for him in 2016. They voted for him in 2020. Vote for him in 2024, and he's done it to them twice. Picked a trade war with China, fucked them over, especially soybean farmers, and he had to pay government subsidies to get us out of that the first time. And he's basically trying to do the same thing. He constantly fucks these people over, and they vote for him every time.
Well, I think as of right now, the polling is showing that there is some sort of opportunity right now for those folk. And kind of in the aggregate, I really hope that the midterms, because of, we already know they're low turnout, if the midterms are kind of comprised of a very small handful of like very loud and then kind of poorly branded and then like illiberal, sort of broken off of the Democratic Party races, in my eyes, that kind of nationalizes the entire ticket.
Yeah, but that's not what's happening. Like, they're being really strategic. They're running like independents in Nebraska.
Yeah,
and,
but I understand what he's saying. They're going to try to nationalize it, especially after that Fox News clip.
Oh, sure, yeah,
In
but like,
perspective, it makes it way easier to.
there's diminishing returns there, especially when a Democrat can just be like, I'm not them. Like Joe Biden did this shit too. When didn't Trump push him and he's like, I'm the party. I'm the leader of the. That was a pretty base moment.
And he grabbed Bernie out by the scruff and just punched him repeatedly in the face on the debate.
Yeah, so like that's why, like, if there's evidence that this will actually scuttle the swing voters or whatever, then like present it. But people don't, because I think it's intuition and it's vibes, and I can't tell you that I know you're wrong, but I'm not convinced of it. That's all I'm saying.
Listen,
Well, I think the difference is like whenever Biden does it, Biden is like a liberal Democrat, but I don't think that we really have like a model for what actually happens.
No.
We have like an actual like commie.
Why
but
is
we're
this thing moving when he's not speaking?
We're talking about not
that was usurped.
the
that
DSA
quiet
members
guy.
distinguishing themselves.
That
We're talking
chill
about
dude.
people like Ossoff distinguishing themselves and people in these swing districts, and so that's consistent, right? I'm assuming you think
The
that.
14-hour Pangburn reaction to this. Are you serious? Did he do this live? Oh, he did it live. Okay. Bangburn.
All right. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Not today.
Ossoff, and I don't know, the rural independent. Is it Dan Osborne in Nebraska that he's like, definitionally liberal, as in small, whatever.
I don't think he's even committed to publicly caucusing with the Democrats. Probably a smart move.
Listen. We find a candidate who is slightly racist, vaguely homophobic, and runs on economic populism. That's the model.
Would be good.
There's no rape allegations.
So no totem cuffs.
We could do without
There's
those.
some flexibility there. There's some flexibility there.
Okay, both you motherfuckers need to go to bed. And we're gonna end this.
4 hours. So
all right,
have a good night, everybody. I love you all.
Everyone leave. Thank you for being here. This was a huge waste of time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
You gotta,
Take care.
listen, this was wild.
Based. I learned so much. I learned so much about Democrat schisms, DSA. Let's go. Okay. I don't have that long because I need to do something in about 40 minutes. Hopefully those kinds of interruptions will be coming to an end soon, actually. Looks like we're getting there. Tito, thanks for the $9.99. I always thought of fascism as a system where the nation and national identity come before all else, especially matters of the individual. Seems pretty consistent across all regimes/definitions. So that's the Griffin definition. What I find a bit off about it is, one, that throughout their rule, fascists just didn't really do that. There were so many instances of where they allowed the individual or just different institutions to not get subsumed by the state or by the party or by the nation. Mussolini did this a lot, and he did it to the disappointment of his own party quite a lot. Like, he had to rein them in so many times, and he had to leave like so much autonomy to, for a long time it was businesses, and autonomy to the church and to the to even down to like different communities, especially like villages like in the north and things like that. So they just don't seem to do it as much as, or with as much zeal as this definition kind of like assumes that they do. And also, I don't really get it, because when I see Roger, I don't know where this comes from, because when I see Griffin, he did a debate on Is Trump a Fascist at Cambridge. And his argument throughout this statement here is very little to do with that whole thing about the nation coming before the individual. His argument here, especially at the end, is him talking about how Trump is not so much a fascist, but he's like someone quote unquote worse, which is what he calls like a new phenomenon of illiberal democracy. And it's because he seems to think that Trump operates just fine within the democratic system and isn't trying to abolish it. And he's not trying to rule by decree because he just spams executive orders and all that. But then I'm thinking, when he talks about January 6th earlier over here, he doesn't seem to understand exactly like how far Trump went and what he was trying to do. And he doesn't seem to realize that Trump, as he gave this debate, is already preemptively trying to undermine the next election that he thinks he's going to lose, which is the midterms. So it's interesting to see like how these people, like where they object, because this whole thing of like we should just religiously stick to this idea of how they put the nation and the national identity before everything else to subsume the individual. I just don't see any scholars like actively making that case. And it seems to be like, even with what Dev's saying, like the something else that Trump does is like not that different to the something else that, like, in the same sense that liberals and conservatives are different from the liberal conservatives of 1920s and 30s. Like, it's harder to be expansionist in this world. That's why Trump can't really like be as aggro as a 1930s fascist, but he can still say things like, I think we should tax the Strait of Hormuz that would used to be free navigation, or I want to own Greenland, or shit like that, right? And it's the same reason, I think, that with the idea of the state fucking the individual or whatever, like, again, one contention is that fascists of the time didn't even do that. But second of all, Americans, conservatives and like allies of fascism are just so far away from that they just can't really explore that anywhere near as much as they used to be able to. They can explore it a bit. How many Trump supporters said that they're fucking Janine Pirro talking about how her 401k is getting shagged by the tariffs, but then also saying, but you know what? I trust this man and I trust the plan. It's like, that fascist minimum to me, like, it doesn't really capture the experience of people like Trump and Mussolini or like their trajectory. And it just also doesn't capture the fact that you wouldn't expect a fascism of today to be, one-to-one or even close to one-to-one with a fascist of 100 years ago, any more than you expect liberals of today to be like the ones of 100 years ago. Which is why I think looking at the kind of commonalities in the behavior and like looking at the ways that they get their support and their interactions with the society that they live in, I think that's like a much something that you can actually apply more broadly, like the more kind of fundamental emotional drives behind them.
In its existing constitutional democracy. government, and a very recent and contested one at that. Democracy in ancient Greece was a patriarchal system which excluded slaves and women from power and could accommodate... Oh dear, really? Oh. Can we have a populist vote whether I can finish this? Well, anyway, look, I'll try and summarize. I mean, once you grasp historically that democracy is not the same as liberal democracy, it's taken decades and hundreds of years for a whole load of various idealists in various parts of society to liberalize democracy. The process that we're witnessing in populist parties all over the world is the deliberalization of democracy. I mean, if you look at the AFD, I could give you a whole list. If you look at Modi, etc., they are not trying to carry out the type of constitutional revolution that was carried out by fascist states. If you look at Mosley, he flirts with Labour and Conservative, creates the new party through the British system, and then when that doesn't work, he creates a fascist party which doesn't get in. But the fascist plan or blueprint for Britain was a post-democratic state. Trump, in that sense, is not a fascist. He doesn't, in a sense, need to be. Now, I could read out a lot of this, but I'd like to read the last page, if I may. The term that I would really promote is what Viktor Orban calls his new Hungary, which is an illiberal democracy, which he uses with pleasure and triumphalism, and that what people like Trump are trying to do is to deliberalize America, but retain elements of the American tradition of democracy, which was originally, in the 18th century, accommodated slaves and genocide of the Native Americans. I mean, democracy, historically, is not a nice thing for lots of people. So I will get down to the very last bit. Trump has managed to climb the slippery pole of electoral politics to become, for the second time, president of one of the only two superpowers. He has now been given 4 years in which to impose his radical plans for the deliberalization of American politics and the remodeling of the international order to suit US interests. Plans which are sufficiently megalomaniacal, phantasmagorical and inhumane
Nice.
that they include seeing to it that 2 million Palestinians are forced from their homeland, now their houses no longer exist thanks to American bombs, and that Gaza is redeveloped into an Israeli Benidorm after the forced deportation and ethnic cleansing of its indigenous population. So I finish with this. In If This Is a Man, Primo Levi, a survivor of Auschwitz, asked readers to recognize that each tortured, emaciated prisoner of the extermination camp still contained...
This is the part that, because I just don't find this as convincing, because well, first of all, he's not really talking about, in most of this, he's not talking about the specificities or the idiosyncrasies of Trump's nationalism. He's talking about the fact that Trump seems to be operating within a democracy, and that's why he's different from like a fascist.
That's just
and
the
but again,
/them dichotomy. A coercive social. It's the same for commies. You're a proletariat waiting for class consciousness or the evil capitalist. Is Pisco getting more smug?
thank you so much for the $10. I really appreciate that. Is he getting? I don't think no. Pisco's kind of the same as he's always been, hasn't he? More smug. It seems like he's making his argument on the sense that Trump doesn't really need to try to abolish democracy because he can function within it. But again, we're just some people just, based on what he says here earlier, I just don't think he knows exactly what Trump was doing on January 6th. Like, I don't think he realizes that it was not it wasn't a legal challenge. It was an attempt to unilaterally ignore the process and to get Mike Pence to just make him president without asking any questions. Like, that was Trump's ideal. That he wanted. He wants to, and he did it before, right? In 2012, he called for a revolution when Obama got elected. In 2016, he denied the popular vote. In 2024, he actually still asserted fraud. He just said that it was rigged, but he got too many votes that the rigging didn't work. It's like, so, I don't know, I think it matters. It says something about you when you're only okay with the election results, mostly when you win. The
flickering flame of a human life. This is a leap of the empathetic imagination far beyond the stunted mental capacity of radical right-wing populists such as Trump, Modi, Orban, Wilders, Weidel or Netanyahu, or their more moderate counterparts such as Le Pen, Meloni or Farage. In an interview he gave shortly before his death in 1987, when populism was in its infancy, Levy warned that a new fascism might arise, walking on tiptoe and calling itself by another name.
Ooh.
Well, my counter-proposition this evening is that however cathartic and emotionally true it might feel to call Trump a bloody fascist or a fascist, in standard academic terms, he is not one, but something worse. And that worse is a process that's occurring throughout the world, which is the deliberalization or the threat of deliberalization of democracy, which corresponds to the increasing centralization of power in autocracies and the persecution of minorities within autocracies. And if we don't get a human...
See, the thing is, I would agree with all of that. It's just that Trump is clearly only living in it, working in a democracy because he was forced to. and if he had his way, and if he got what he was trying to get, he wouldn't be in a democracy. Like, if Trump could have stayed president, in 2020, he would have. He would have just ignored the vote. Fuck me.
Human community based on...
Orban's a bit different because as far as I know, Orban just walked, right? He lost the election and he walked.
Global empathy, we as a species are doomed because we will not face and control the ecological crisis if we're all at war with each other, both within democracies and without. Thank you very, very much indeed.
I don't want to know what Polanski says in the counter-argument. Be fucking retarded. But yeah, that's Roger Griffin, who's like, he wrote a kind of definition of fascism in a fairly long book from 1994, I think. And it basically was like seeking out to find the fascist minimum, which he said was a populist palingenetic ultranationalism. And like trying to summarize fascism basically as like a sentence. And 10 years later, Robert Paxton wrote another book, which seems to be a little bit more referenced, or a bit more of a go-to these days, challenges that and says that like there's too much, like that fascism more than any other ideology of the 20th century was so fluid when it came to the lack of like any party program, that trying to distill it into a single mission statement or into a single sentence is just kind of like betraying the entire nature of how fascists functioned and how they operated. And I think that that's just a more compelling argument. It also just means that you have to, if you're going to use the the fucking Paxton definition, you're going to have to get very, very familiar with like how fascists, like how Mussolini and Hitler actually worked when they were coming to power and when they got power. Because if you just have a couple of bullet points, like you're gonna miss a lot. Fascism is very vibes based. Yeah, yeah. That's what Paxton calls it, a set of mobilizing passions. So is communism, though? Well, no, communism claims, and there's a big difference, communism claims to be deriving its ideology, however different it is, from interpretations of Marxism or Marxist-Leninism. So when Chairman Mao does a radical policy shift, you have the entire party and party propagandists publishing pamphlets explaining why this new shift is in line with Marxist theory and quoting Marx and putting out new mantras and things like that. When a fascist leader changes their mind on something, they don't really feel like they have to explain themselves to anyone. They just change it and they're like, well, I'm the leader, so you trust me. And who the fuck does that these days more than Trump, right? Like, no new wars, no new wars. We're going to war with Iran. Trust the plan. It's like, okay. There's no, my fellow Americans, okay? There's a shift in the wind, and here's why. And we're going to read back to Mussolini's doctrine of fascism to explain. They don't do this at all. Like, it is probably the movement that is more anti-intellectual and anti-thought that their leaders can just get away with shifting without even bothering to justify their shifts. That's why it's not the same as communism. Mao didn't necessarily follow Marxist doctrine at all. He diverged from it a lot, but he always attempted to justify what he was doing on Marxist terms to the end. You can say he was miles apart from Marx in a million ways, and I would agree with you, but he always had a quote from one of Marx's texts to back it up, and the party would spread that, and they would push it down people's throats. And people who believed Mao's interpretation of Marxism one half of the year would be getting killed by people who believe another new interpretation of Marxism at the end of the year. Is what it is. Shit. Oh. Would you say Restore is fascist? For any of these fledgling groups, you probably have to look at how they approach democracy. Restore probably crosses every box that I can think of, apart from the fact that, like, if they lose an election, would they just leave, or would they deny the results, or would they try to seize the state by force? Like, yeah, these are kind of important variables. Would you say Farage is? Again, I don't know. He seems to tick a lot of the boxes, but maybe not as neatly as Trump does. But he seems to be fine with every democratic result. Like, he seems to not really be doing a big noise about voter fraud and all that shit, or like trying to find any other weird mental gymnastics or any other avenue to seize power unilaterally. So he's probably more of an example of he's definitely like a right-wing national populist, and he's probably an illiberal Democrat, like a liberal democracy, but very corrupt, yeah. But unfortunately, corruption doesn't really have anything to do with fascism. There's a lot of corruption in fascism, but you don't need corruption to be a fascist. You can be the most pure, well-behaved motherfucker when it comes to money and all that shit and still be a fascist. Whoa! What else are we doing in 10, 20 minutes? Let me read some donos. Hunsk, thanks for the tier 1 sub. Hope you enjoyed your time with the savages. Why did you have to put that in a separate line? But true. Did you see you made it in the Professor Dave reply to Destiny? Wait, what? Where? Professor Dave replied to Destiny and put me in it. What did I do? Well, if I'm in the video, we have to react to it. 1 hour and 37
Hey everyone, as you know, I'm a...
Okay, this guy is fucking crazy. Where am I? What'd I do? I'm probably only there for like 2 seconds, right? Let me guess. Sniping jobs? Or... two-year-olds are actually 17. These are opinions that I hold, sincerely. What? Or is it the fucking pic? It's just is it the Elon Levy picture? Yari Golan, Jesus, that's your bad guy, eh? Where am I? He talks about the trip to Israel. Yeah, but am I actually in it? Is there the picture? Let's see if I look at trip. Israel funded trip. Oh yeah, that famously Israel funded trip. Yeah. Where all the Israeli right wingers were fucking furious about our content the entire time we were there. Yeah, I remember that one. Oh,
where Destiny
that's me.
Went all around Israel interviewing dozens of Israeli officials and media personalities in what was very clearly an
and Palestinians, yep. Encounter with the IDF.
Israel-funded propaganda.
Oh, clearly. Yeah, This fucking freak.
And media personalities in what was very clearly an Israel-funded propaganda trip.
Yeah, is that the scientific method that got you to that fucking conclusion, retard?
Here he is with Eylon Levy, the shit stain who served as Israeli government spokesman during the first stretch of the
They were arguing the whole time. I was arguing with
genocide. So basically, he's the guy who sold the world on this genocide more than anyone else.
Oh.
He's the one who amplified narratives about beheaded babies and a baby in the oven on October 7th that definitely didn't exist. Hamas using Palestinians as human shields when that's actually what Israel does. The ultra...
Oh my fucking God, man. There are so many things that Hamas and the IDF completely agree on that for some reason Westerners just completely ignore. If you want to know how much fucking tunnel Hamas has, ask Hamas. They'll tell you. They'll say, yes, we have like 500 kilometers of tunnels underneath this tiny little strip. Where do you think the tunnels are if they're not underneath civilian areas? Hamas and the IDF both agree that if an evacuation warning goes out, Hamas would rather the civilians stay where they are. Hamas and the IDF both agree that Hamas has never agreed to a safe zone. That when Israel tried to put Al-Mawasi as a safe zone, Hamas said no, and then put a bunch of their fucking fighters in there. Their chief of staff was hiding in the fucking safe zone when he died. Hamas will publish videos of themselves shooting rockets out of fucking refugee tents and then giving those videos to Al Jazeera to brag about it. Hamas and the IDF will both say that Hamas have had soldiers who were commanders, actually, even of the Al-Qassam brigades, who were also working as nurses or as heads of nursing departments or as journalists or as lawyers or as humanitarian aid workers. They've admitted all of this. It's all there. It's all in their fucking obituaries. It's there in their public statements. It's there. Fuck me. Fuck my ass.
Hamas using Palestinians as human shields when that's actually what Israel does. The ultra-sophisticated Hamas bases under the hospitals that were never there, shouting about how anyone...
They were there. They were filmed there. But,
when exposing Israeli propaganda is part of an anti...
Where was Mohammed Sinwar when he died? Where was he? Oh yeah, he was outside a fucking hospital. He was in a tunnel underneath the hospital grounds. The European hospital. Shit.
A Semitic propaganda campaign. Destiny is right at home here, naturally. Here he is with Yishai Fleischer, an Israeli settler in the West Bank where Palestinians are brutally terrorized every single day as illegal settlements continue to expand against international law, and a Kahanist who served as a political advisor to Ben-Gvir. Here he is with Benny Morris, an Israeli historian who tried to whitewash the
Fucking Benny Morris. You know, like, Israeli right-wingers hate this guy, right? They fucking despise him.
48 Nakba, which is the true beginning of this campaign of ethnic cleansing and dispossession of Palestinians. He also did a 2-on-2 debate with Benny against Norman Finkelstein and Muin Rabbani on Lex Fridman, where he spewed a bunch of Zionist bullshit and got humiliated by Finkelstein, which is well worth a watch. Then here he is with Yair Golan, former Israeli politician, Naz Daly, a content creator who whitewashes the occupation, Yossi Beilin, former Minister of Religious Services of Israel.
Yossi Beilin, the peace processor, like the most dovish fucking Israeli. The guy who still maintains friendships and regular contact with PLO negotiators. This guy's a fuck, mate. Again, like, these people don't want the war to end. They don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck about the region. They don't give a fuck about ending the suffering. They don't care about any of it. It's just can you who can most aggressively say fuck Israel? Who can say it with the most venom? My. Let's go. All right. I'm not watching that. Fuck me. Blood pressure. Life is too short. What are they looking at? Oh yeah, it's on my other screen. Oh. Heavy strikes on there. Oh yeah. Another big escalation with regards to Iran. Breaking news! Big escalation. More bombs, fresh strikes.
Iran. In response to, we begin with breaking news from the Middle East. The US military says it's carried out a fresh wave of strikes against Iran in response to recent attempted Iranian attacks on US forces. US Central Command said dozens of Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps targets had been hit, including command centres, missile and drone facilities and maritime capabilities. Iranian media reported that the islands of Qashem and Abadan were among the areas hit. Both are centres of the oil industry. Iran has continued its attacks. The Jordanian military says it shot down 5 missiles on Thursday. Well, Yolande Knell is in Jerusalem for us. Yolande, if you could just take us through the targets, what's been hit and what the assessment is of this latest escalation.
So the US military is talking about a heavy wave of strikes carried out over a couple of hours on Iran, saying that this was in response to yesterday's surprise attack on US forces who were based in Jordan. And Iranian state media have talked about explosions across much of southern Iran, Qashem Island, where at least 3 people were killed, but also explosions heard in the west of the country close to the border with Iraq. And not long after we had news of the US strikes having been completed, the Jordanian armed forces put out a short statement saying that 5 incoming Iranian missiles had been intercepted with no reports of casualties there. Now, in the past few days, there have been increasing concerns that this war is spreading across multiple fronts, with the US and Saudi Arabia launching attacks on
I didn't know people could have multiple fronts.
Pro-Iranian groups in Iraq, also those threats from the Houthis in Yemen to Red Sea shipping. But now Egypt's cabinet has confirmed that a drone caused a fire on 2 vessels on its Mediterranean coast last night. They're associated with the natural gas supplies in the country. One of them is US owned. Now, it would be the first time, if Iran had carried out this attack, that there had been a direct attack on Egypt that we'd heard about since the war in Iran began nearly about 5 months ago now. And you know, the Egyptians say that they're
New goal. I'm going in like 10 minutes. Stop.
investigating the cause of this. Up to now, although the Egyptians are close allies of Iran, they have been spared attacks largely because they do not have US forces based in the country. That is a long-term Egyptian security policy.
Yolande Knell, thank you for that. That was Yolande Knell.
Thank you, Yolande Knell, whatever the fuck her name is. Hell yeah. Okay. Reddit, petition for more loner box, smiley face. We, the people, in these trying times, hereby, formally and officially request less loner and more box. How else do we tune out UK politics segments and yet feel like we learned about them? How else do we solve the Middle East? How do we know if it is in fact slop o'clock and we've snoozed through it? How do we know whether or not to wear jeans in the bath? We are adrift at sea. We are orphans waiting for a box under a dimly lit Christmas tree. Jesus Christ, these poor guys. It's a good post. Solid Reddit posts. Good community engagement. Let's go. Give me more. I do appreciate you guys, you know. I appreciate you guys for at least one being so patient with me for the last many months of my on and off absence. But Knarsh, thanks to the $4.99. I started a change. Oh, I just got that. Jesus Christ. Did I miss any of these? Bulb Sweet Bulb, thanks to tier 2 sub. Pisco during Halloween, be like, didn't he do the monster mash, correct? And wasn't it a graveyard smash? Yes or no? What the fuck? Okay. Meme, thanks to the dono. How was seeing the sun for a weekend and going back to Scotland? I've never been more grateful for light rain. Put it that way. Coram Holtz, thanks to the 5 Canadian. Feel like the concepts of Brandmauer and Cordon Sanitaire would be helpful here, re extremis. I have no idea who those guys are, but I will look into it if you remind me several times. Thank you so much. Lace and Tag, thanks to Dono. We're being suffocated by bureaucracy. Anti-bureaucracy candidate gets elected. They cut funding to bureaucratic institutions. Bureaucratic backlog grows longer. We're being suffocated by bureaucracy. Oh, well, it works every time, and it can work for decades. You should watch the entire Mim. Thanks, or minimum. Thanks for the dono. You should watch the entire Trump White House Correspondents' Dinner speech for beginning to end at 1x speed. He completely destroyed the fake news media. Okay, I cannot wait. Business time. Thanks for $10. Professor Dave versus Professor Jiang debate would be amazing. I'll bet it would. The Raccoon. Thanks to the $4.99. Welcome back, Mr. Box. Not sure if you saw, but FD Signifier also released a video on Israel Palestine full of dog whistles, but not as toxic as Professor Dave. If that's very recent, I would wonder if it's maybe because of the pressure he's feeling from the empanada-oid side. I don't know. Ugh. Can work. Thanks for $2. Professor Dave being an anti-Semite is wild. Whoa, we anti-Zionist. I'm so sorry. What? He only has foaming at the mouth hatred for most Jews. Okay, not all of them. Crazy. Grassroots hegemon. We already did that one. Thank you very much. Owlishness for the dono. Thank you so much. Business time for the tier 2 sub. The box strikes back. 2 box, 2 furious. Wow, good one. Esme, thanks for the £2. And Akiko Sananda, thanks for the tier 1 for 15 months now. Thank you so much. Well done, guys. Good, solid Dono Fest. I appreciate it. Oh, hopefully, guys, or hopefully we're going to do longer streams after tomorrow. Now that that debate is, that modern day stuff is done. Yeah, there's a lot. There's not really going to be much else on my way now from streaming a lot more regularly. I really, really hope we're back. And I think we also, because I don't know how much I should. No, it's fine to talk about this. Because Stardust is kind of exploring a few new things of her own now. She's getting more into streaming and stuff like that. We are experimenting with a new editor this week, potentially. Potentially, maybe. Ooh. Or like a joint operation or some shit like that. Yeah, but we're, yeah, we'll see how it goes. WoW streams? No. Debate Professor Dave. If he's not going for Destiny, why would he debate me? You already turned down a bunch of offers over that video. Yeah, we'll see. WoW streams can come later, okay? I need to get back in the saddle, you know? I've been off the ball for so long now. Need to change things up. Get going again. Show up to his house and debate him from the outside. I'm not that cool. I'm not that much of a fucking, what is that, street politics. Whatever is good for you, make sure your well-being is priority. Truth is more salient than ever. Wow. We have a cause. It's good to have purpose, you know, yeah. Any research streams? One day. I'm more concerned now with just like rebuilding like a regular viewership, because I know that it's, other streamers say this and they are very correct about it. Like other streamers will say that if you become inconsistent or if you disappear for a while, people will just forget you exist because stream content is not evergreen. It's not like, it doesn't really function the same way that video essays do. And because so much of the job is being like part of the viewer's routine, once you fall out of that, it's like, yeah, you do drop quite badly. So that's probably going to be my main focus going forward a bit, is just to kind of like try and rebuild a little bit. But yeah, 700 people right now, especially at this time of the day when other people are streaming, is pretty good, yeah. But could be better, okay? We should be at 2,000, like our superior Hutch. But that will be a long build. That won't happen instantly, or won't happen overnight. Anyway, research streams are vital. Yeah, but they're for a time when I'm back more into the saddle a little bit. What are your streaming hours? We'll decide them as we go along in the next week or two, hopefully. Thanks for the tier 1 sub, Tash Gordon. Really appreciate it. Jane Socks for the $10. Really appreciate it.
We're so back.
Just combine with Hutch, you get his viewers, he gets your hair. True. But no, I'm kind of like exploring ways to just make the streams like a lot more intentional and a lot more like watchable, I guess. Yeah, because at the end of the day, there's only so far you can get from reading and knowing all the things. I feel like I'm pretty satisfied on that end now of my personal growth. Whoa! All right. Ending stream. Oh, should I you raid out? Who's raidable right now? There is some people, aren't there? Are there some people raidable? You need a triangle that you can hit when something happens. Oh, good. No, there's not. Wait. I don't know. Okay. No raid. Go wherever you guys want. Okay. I couldn't see anyone on my list. All right. Pisco must have stopped. Yeah. All good, bros. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye.